Chapter 762. Rumble. Under the cleansing of the life energy, the impurities in Shangwan Bo's body were removed. Finally, a series of muffled sounds could be heard coming from his body. His strength had finally broken through to 200,000 dragon power, making him a titled celestial emperor. In fact, Shangwan Bo's strength was already close to that of a titled celestial emperor. Therefore, his strength had skyrocketed after the impurities in his body were removed. Moreover, even after he had become a titled celestial emperor, his strength did not stop growing. Instead, it continued to grow. 300,000 dragon power. When he broke through to 300,000 dragon power, Shangwan Bo was so excited that he couldn't help but let out a long howl. Brother, calm down. It's only 300,000 dragon power. It's only slightly stronger than an ordinary titled celestial emperor. A celestial venerable has at least 100 dragon power. Although I'm only an intermediate celestial duke, my dragon power has already reached 1,700,000 dragon power. There's nothing for you to be excited about. Murong Yu's indifferent voice rang in Shangwan Bo's ears just as he was about to let out a roar. Shangwan Bo's excitement was instantly quelled. Intermediate celestial duke? 1,700,000 dragon power? In an instant, Shangwan Bo swallowed the long howl that was about to escape his mouth. He almost choked on his breath. Brother Murong's innate talent is heaven-defying. He's only an intermediate celestial duke, but he's already so powerful. I can't even compare to an ordinary celestial venerable. However, with Brother Murong's help, I'll definitely break through to the celestial venerable realm. Although there's still a huge gap between me and Brother Murong, I can still be considered as a powerhouse. I'll be strong enough to protect the clan and won't have to trouble Brother Murong. I don't think I've helped Brother Murong before, but Shangwan Bo made up his mind and calmly began to break through with Murong Yu's help. Murong Yu's life force could even elevate the strength of intermediate immortal venerables like Sun Haoshan to the late immortal venerable realm, let alone Shangwan Bo, who was only an immortal emperor. Although Murong Yu didn't have the confidence to help Shangwan Bo break through to the immortal venerable realm, he was absolutely confident that he could raise Shangwan Bo's strength to the limit of the immortal emperor realm. 400,000 dragon power, 500,000 dragon power, 700,000 dragon power, 800,000. As time passed, Shangwan Bo's dragon power continued to rise. Soon, it reached 900,000 dragon power. He was only 100,000 dragon power away from the 1 million dragon power needed to reach the immortal venerable realm. Once he broke through the last 100,000 dragon power, Shangwan Bo would be able to step into the immortal venerable realm. However, the final 100,000 dragon strength was the hardest to break through. Even with Murong Yu's help, Shangwan Bo's strength was growing slower and slower. During this process, when Shangwan Bo reached 700,000 dragon power points, Shangwan Bo's dragon power points reached 700,000 dragon power points. Shangwan Da, the current patriarch of the Shangwan clan, let out a long cry. His strength had already reached the immortal emperor realm. In the Hichu Luoshu world, Murong Yu was omniscient and omnipotent. He discovered that although Shangwan Da was talented, he had reached the limit of his potential after breaking through to the late immortal emperor realm. It didn't mean that Shangwan's limit was the late immortal emperor realm. However, it seemed like Shangwan's strength wouldn't increase for the time being. Shangwan Jingjing's innate talent is really good. She's already a titled celestial emperor. Murong Yu's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. Previously, Murong Yu had only given Shangwan Jingjing a bottle of Emperor Breakthrough pills. After that, he no longer cared about her. Apart from that, there was also the time acceleration pill. The stronger Shangwan Jingjing became, the greater the time acceleration pill would be. Apart from that, there were also endless resources. At this moment, Shangwan Jingjing had already broken through to the titled celestial emperor realm. However, Murong Yu knew that Shangwan Jingjing could no longer increase her strength after reaching the titled celestial emperor realm. After all, she was still a celestial duke. Even with Murong Yu's help, it was unlikely that she could continue to improve her strength. He needed time to consolidate his strength and familiarize himself with his new strength. After all, it was not necessarily a good thing to improve his strength too quickly. Brother, your strength has reached its limit. It has reached 950,000 points of Earth Dragon's power. Whether you'll be able to break through to the celestial venerable realm or not will depend on your comprehension. As he spoke, Muronyu transmitted the experiences of celestial venerables into Shangwan-Bo's mind. Naturally, these experiences were not from Muronyu, but from Sun Haoshan and the others. Swoosh! After Muronyu left, Shangwan-Bo continued to break through to the celestial venerable realm alone. His grade 9 celestial meridian was burning madly, and the time acceleration pill had increased to 1 million years. In just a blink of an eye, 1 million years had passed. Muronyu, can grandfather break through to the celestial venerable realm? At this moment, Shangwan-Da and Shangwan Jingjing had stopped cultivating. They came to Murongyu's side and looked at Shangwan-Bo, who was cultivating in front of them. As Shangwan Jingjing spoke, Shangwan-Da also looked at Murongyu with hope. If Shangwan-Bo broke through to the celestial venerable realm, then he would be the first celestial venerable of the Shangwan clan. And the Shangwan clan would also become a superpower because of Shangwan-Bo's breakthrough. With such strength, they could join the Immortal Realm Alliance. Then, the Shangwan clan would have a place in the Immortal Realm Alliance. Of course, it was impossible for them to join the Immortal Realm Alliance now, but Shangwan-Bo's breakthrough was at least a good thing. Murongyu shook his head and said faintly, "Whether he can break through or not, it's not up to me. It still depends on whether brother has the opportunity. When the time is right, he will naturally break through. He has already started to break through." As they spoke, a few months had already passed. As for Shangwan-Bo, who was cultivating, a few million years had already passed. Shangwan-Bo's strength had already reached the limit, and he was supported by a large amount of resources. In addition, his talent wasn't bad, and he had a large amount of experience when he broke through to the celestial venerable realm. A few million years was enough for him to break through. Rumble. Looking from afar, Shangwan-Bo's body shook violently. Then, a divine light burst out from his body, tearing the sky and splitting the earth. The divine light was dazzling to the eyes. Celestial venerable realm, 1 million dragons of strength, Murongyu said faintly. Shangwan-Bo had successfully broken through, but he only had 100 dragons of strength. This made Murongyu a little disappointed. Of course, although Murongyu was a little disappointed, to Shangwan-Bo, Shangwan-Da, and Shangwan Jingjing, they were incomparably happy. After a long roar that shook the sky, Shangwan-Bo stepped across countless time and appeared in front of Murongyu. "Brother, I've finally broken through to the celestial venerable realm. I won't say any words of gratitude." Shangwan-Bo walked over and bowed to Murongyu before speaking with a solemn expression. "If there's anything you need me for in the future, just say the word and I'll do my best to help. Let's not say these polite words. Let's go out first," Murongyu said indifferently. Then, with a flash, he brought Shangwan-Bo and the other two out of the Shangwan clan's main hall. Old Patriarch and the rest have come out. It hasn't even been half a day. Could it be that their strength has already broken through? That's impossible, right? Seeing Murongyu and the rest appear, the experts of the Shangwan clan in the main hall started to discuss. At this moment, it was only half a day since Murongyu and the rest entered Hichu Luoshu. What could they do in half a day? Not to mention breaking through, it was impossible to even increase their strength by a little. I can't see through Jingjing's strength. It's the same for the clan leader, an intermediate celestial emperor suddenly said. The clan leader's strength has already reached the late stage celestial emperor realm. Even Jingjing wasn't bad. Judging from the fluctuations emitted from her body, she didn't seem to be any weaker than the patriarch. It seemed like the clan leader's strength had become even more unfathomable. Shangwan-Da, Jingjing, each of you choose 2 people. Extract their souls and turn them into your slaves. They're not weak, so they can help you in battle. Shangwan Bo glanced at the remaining 5 late-stage celestial emperors from the Alliance of the Celestial Realms before he said indifferently. Shangwan Da and Shangwan Jingjing nodded and quickly extracted the souls of 2 powerhouses. Furthermore, Shangwan Jingjing even extracted the soul of the last expert. With her strength as a titled celestial emperor, it was not difficult for her to control 3 late-stage celestial emperors. Previously, the clan leader could only control 2 people, but Jingjing can control 3 people? Could it be that the current Jingjing is even more powerful than the previous patriarch? Seeing Shangwan Jingjing directly controlling 3 late-stage immortal emperors, the experts of the Shangwan clan couldn't help but be shocked. Their jaws dropped to the ground. Shangwan Da is a late-stage celestial emperor. Shangwan Jingjing is a titled celestial emperor. As for me, I've become a celestial venerable, Shangwan Bo said in a low voice as he released his aura. Everyone was stunned for a moment before they cheered. The clan leader has become a celestial venerable? At the same time, everyone was looking at Murong Yu with a burning gaze. They knew Murong Yu was the reason Shangwan Bo and Shangwan Jingjing were able to break through to the celestial venerable realm and become titled celestial emperors from the celestial duke realm. If Murong Yu helps me raise my strength, will I be able to become a late-stage celestial emperor or a titled celestial emperor, or even become a celestial venerable like the clan leader? All of them thought to themselves as they looked at Murong Yu with a burning gaze. Unfortunately, Murong Yu did not even spare them a glance. In fact, Murong Yu did not suffer any losses from raising their strength. However, was it necessary? Unless, Brother Shangwan, you're no longer safe. The people from the Alliance of the Celestial Realm might come looking for you. Why don't you join the Shangzhen clan? Murong Yu suddenly asked Shangwan Bo. Chapter 763. Join Shangzhen. Hearing this, Shangwan Bo's brows twitched as he thought to himself. With Brother Murong Yu's strength, he even has immortal sovereigns as his subordinates. Even if there aren't many immortal sovereigns in the sacred sect, with Brother Murong's methods, he can create immortal sovereigns out of thin air. It can be said that Shangzhen is now the 3rd strongest force after the Divine Union and the Immortal Realm Alliance. Even if it is still not a match for the Divine Union and the Immortal Realm Alliance, Brother Murong still has the Hichu Luo Shu. At most, we will continue to live in the Hichu Luo Shu world. In that case, we won't be afraid of the Divine Union and the Immortal Realm Alliance. Anyway, the Immortal Realm Alliance will still take action against us. Even if we reach the Immortal Venerable's realm, we won't be a match for them. If we continue to stay here, the Shangwan family will definitely be wiped out by the Immortal Realm Alliance. Even if the family might be broken up after joining Shangzhen, it's still better than being wiped out. In an instant, Shangwan Bo made up his mind to join Shangzhen. Brother Murong, after your Shangwan family joins Shangzhen, I won't break you up. You will still be a family. Murong Yu knew what Shangwan Bo meant and said. In fact, there were many forces in Shangzhen now. There were many families like the Shangwan family. Upon hearing this, Shangwan Bo said without hesitation, our Shangwan family will join Shangzhen. In that case, I will immediately order everyone to prepare for the migration. There's no need to go through so much trouble. I will just take the entire Shangwan family into Hichu Luo Shu. Murong Yu smiled faintly. Then, with a flash, he appeared in the sky above the Shangwan family. Then, Murong Yu reached out his hand and grabbed the Shangwan family below. The giant hand swelled with the wind and instantly grew bigger. It covered the sky and covered half of the dome of heaven. The Shangwan family was like a small dot under this monstrous giant hand as it was enveloped by it. What happened? The members of the Shangwan family below the ground could feel that the sky had turned dark in an instant. They could not help but cry out in alarm and panic. At this moment, Murong Yu's big hand shook violently and grabbed at the air. Rumble. Looking from afar, the entire Shangwan clan was lifted up by the giant hand. Even the buildings in the Shangwan clan and the thousands of miles of soil beneath the Shangwan clan were lifted up. Swish! The big hand in the void disappeared into thin air, and the world regained its clarity once again. However, the Shangwan family had already disappeared. What was left behind was only a gigantic crater. Not long after, some people discovered this change. They all floated in the sky and looked down at the huge crater, speechless for a long time. The Shangwan clan has disappeared into thin air. At this moment, Murongyu had already rushed to the Yi family. The Shangwan clan, Yi clan, and Guan clan all received the same treatment. They were all suppressed by the experts of the Immortal Realm Alliance. Because of the relationship between Yi Feng and Guan Jie, the Immortal Realm Alliance suppressed them. However, in the Yi family, Yi Feng was an absolute expert. His words carried weight. He had the same status as Shangwan Bo in the Shangwan clan. However, at this moment, the people of the Immortal Realm Alliance did not threaten Yi Feng. Swish! In the main hall of the Yi family, Yi Feng was sitting there with a gloomy face. The entire hall was empty, and he was the only one there. Suddenly, the void in the hall was torn apart. Following that, two figures stepped out from the void. Who? After all, Yi Feng was an expert in the late stage of the Immortal Emperor realm. The moment the two figures appeared, he became alert. His entire body tensed up, and his strength was raised to the limit. Once he discovered that the people who came were enemies, he would immediately attack and kill them. "Old man Yi, how have you been?" A voice that Yi Feng was familiar with sounded out, causing Yi Feng to be slightly surprised. "Old man Shangwan, what are you doing here?" Yi Feng suddenly stood up from his seat and looked at the person who came with a face full of shock. This was because he knew that not only were his people forced by the Immortal Realm Alliance, but also the Shangwan clan and the Guan clan. Logically speaking, it was impossible for Shangwan Bo to come to the Yi family, unless he had already joined the Immortal Realm Alliance. "Shangwan Bo, you joined the Immortal Realm Alliance?" Elder Yi looked at Shangwan Bo with a gloomy face, so much so that Murongyu, who was beside Shangwan Bo, was actually ignored by him. This made Murongyu feel depressed. Could it be that my sense of existence is actually so low? Murongyu thought helplessly. Shangwan Bo's face was originally full of joy, but after hearing Yi Feng's words, his face darkened. He immediately said in a deep voice, "Old man Yi, in your eyes am I, Shangwan Bo, such a person?" Yi Feng snorted. He knew in his heart that Shangwan Bo was not such a person. However, Shangwan Bo suddenly appeared here. It was no wonder that he had such a guess. Old man Shangwan, your strength? Could it be that you've broken through to the Immortal Realm?" At this moment, Yi Feng suddenly exclaimed, continuing to ignore Murongyu. This made Murongyu very sad. "Ha! Old man Yi, don't keep looking at me. Look who's here." Shangwan Bo was speechless at Yi Feng's reaction. They had been here for so long, but this guy did not see Murongyu beside him. Yi Feng did not know how his eyes grew. Murongyu is here too." Only then did Yi Feng look at Murongyu, who was beside Shangwan Bo. After seeing Murongyu, his face immediately became awkward and he smiled embarrassedly. Just now, he thought that the person who came with Shangwan Bo was a junior of the Shangwan family. Because of Shangwan Bo's sudden appearance, Yi Feng's mood was not very good, so he did not look at Murongyu. "Old man Yi, your reaction hurts me," Murongyu said indifferently. Yi Feng was speechless. He could only laugh and resolve the awkwardness. However, he was very curious about Murongyu, especially Shangwan Bo, who was able to break through to the Immortal Realm. "Old man Yi, don't envy me. The reason why I am here today is all because of Brother Murongyu. I believe that you'll be able to reach the Immortal Realm very soon. However, we should first deal with the people from the Immortal Realm Alliance. Tell them to come over. You can deal with the immortal sovereigns of the Immortal Realm Alliance." Yi Feng frowned. "Perhaps I don't have the strength, but with Brother Murong here, even if a few more immortal sovereigns come, it won't be a problem." Shangwan Bo knew how terrifying Murongyu's strength was. "Since that's the case, I'll send a message to them." As he spoke, Yi Feng sent a message over. Not long after, a group of 5 people walked in a hall. other than an immortal sovereign, there were also 4 immortal emperors. The immortal emperors weren't all late-stage immortal emperors, and there weren't as many of them as there were in the Shangguan clan. It could be seen that the Immortal Realm Alliance didn't value Yifeng as much as the Shangguan clan did. In fact, with the lineup of these 5 people, it was more than enough to destroy a small Yi family. Old man Yi, you call this over? You must have made a decision. Do you want to die or join the Immortal Realm Alliance? After entering the hall, the Reverend Immortal leading the group sneered. Murong Yu was once again ignored. However, unlike before, Shangguan Bo was also ignored this time. Sigh, it seems that my sense of existence is really so low. Brother Shangguan, this guy's strength is about the same as yours, so I'll take him down. You can extract his soul and enslave him. Murong Yu sighed and suddenly reached out his hand, grabbing towards the immortal sovereign from the Immortal Realm Alliance. How dare you? One of the immortal emperors roared. With a flash of his body, he took a few steps forward and threw a punch at Murong Yu. His aura was monstrous, and if it were any other ordinary immortal monarchs, they would have been turned into a bloody mist. However, Murong Yu didn't even look at him. His big hand continued to grab towards the immortal sovereign. He was directly ignored by Murong Yu. The celestial venerable flew into a rage. Just as he was about to attack, he suddenly exploded with a loud bang. Even until his death, he didn't know how he died. Not to mention him, even the others didn't know how he died. What a thief! The immortal reverend from the Immortal Realm Alliance let out a roar and threw a punch at Murong Yu, shattering the heavens and earth. Whoosh! However, the moment he made his move, Murong Yu's big hand had already swept across countless space-time and grabbed his neck. Then, he realized that his power had been sealed. Then, with a bang, he was thrown at Shangguan Bo's feet. When Yifeng and the other immortal emperors from the Immortal Realm Alliance saw this scene, their jaws dropped to the ground. They were extremely shocked. Shangguan Bo snorted coldly. His big hand directly pierced into the immortal sovereign's soul space and began to extract his soul. At the same time, Yifeng snorted angrily. His figure flashed, and he launched the most violent attack on the remaining 3 immortal emperors. Bang! 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 The 3 immortal emperors were no match for Yifeng. In the midst of their shock, they were blasted into smithereens by Yifeng in a few moves. Awesome! After killing 3 immortal emperors in a row, Yifeng couldn't help but let out a long howl. For the past month, he had been suppressed by these people to the point that he couldn't raise his head. He had been suppressing a ball of anger in his heart for a long time. Now he finally vented it out. At this time, Shangguan Bo had also extracted the soul of the immortal sovereign and completely controlled him. From now on, the Shangguan family could be considered to have 2 immortal sovereigns. This made Yifeng extremely envious. Old man Yi, my Shangguan family has already merged into Brother Murong Shengzhen and will not be broken up. If possible, you should also merge into Shengzhen, right? Otherwise, the people from the Immortal Realm Alliance won't let the Yi family go. Shangguan Bo said in a deep voice. All right. Yifeng didn't even think about it and directly agreed. Then, Murong Yu once again soared into the sky and used his great ability to capture the entire Yi family into the Hichu Luoshu world. Chapter 764. Lord Luo, our Guan clan has decided to join the Immortal Realm Alliance and become a part of it. As for Guan Jie, we have already suppressed him. From now on, the entire Guan clan will join the Immortal Realm Alliance. In the main hall of the Guan clan leader, Guan Tianhong, said respectfully to Luo Guang, who was standing not far away from him. Guan Tianhong, you joining the Immortal Realm Alliance will lead to the destruction of the Guan clan. You will be the center of the Guan clan. Guan Jie roared at Guan Tianhong. Guan Jie, shut up. If it wasn't for you, why would the Immortal Realm Alliance attack our Guan clan? Now that we have joined the Immortal Realm Alliance, we will receive more resources. This is the only chance for our Guan clan to grow stronger. Joining the Immortal Realm Alliance is to bring the Guan clan to greater heights. not to destroy the Guan clan like you did." Guan Tianhong sneered at Guan Jie. Guan Jie looked at Guan Tianhong furiously. He wanted nothing more than to kill Guan Tianhong. Who was Guan Jie? How could he not know the Immortal Realm Alliance's intention? It was to lure out Murongyu. Originally, Guan Jie was against it. Although he had high prestige in the Guan clan, he wasn't the Guan clan leader. Moreover, although he had high prestige, the Guan clan was controlled by Guan Tianhong. As the clan leader, Guan Tianhong could easily suppress Guan Jie's power in the Guan clan. At the beginning, Guan Jie didn't agree to join the Immortal Realm Alliance because he knew it was suicidal. Moreover, Guan Jie's power in the Guan clan was also against it. However, 1 month later, the voices of opposition gradually decreased. In the end, Guan Tianhong joined forces with a few experts in the Guan clan to kill Guan Jie and seal him. Then, the scene just now happened. At this point, the Guan clan had to be mentioned. Among the Shangguan clan, the Yi clan, and the Guan clan had the longest history and the strongest strength. At the very least, the Guan clan had 2 late-stage immortal emperors. They also had more mid-stage immortal emperors than the Shangguan clan and the Yi clan. In particular, although Guan Jie was powerful, he was not the clan leader of the Guan family. Therefore, they couldn't be like Shangguan Bo and Yi Feng, who were able to do whatever they wanted in the clan without anyone objecting. "Shut up, Guan Jie. You're killing the Guan clan, do you know that?" While Guan Jie was cursing, an intermediate-stage immortal emperor elder of the Guan clan suddenly spoke. "Patriarch, our entire family is willing to join the Immortal Realm Alliance in order to obtain more resources and increase the strength of our Guan family. Since Guan Jie refuses to comply, why don't we hand him over to Lord Luo Guang for him to deal with?" Another elder of the Guan family said. Guan Jie was silent. He glanced at the elders of the Guan family and suddenly felt very disappointed. Did these people really join the Immortal Realm Alliance because of the development of the Guan family? No, these people joined the Immortal Realm Alliance for their own selfish interests. What development of the Guan family? For the future of the Guan family? That was all nonsense. They joined the Immortal Realm Alliance in order to obtain more resources for themselves. While feeling disappointed, Guan Jie sneered in his heart. He knew that once these people joined the Immortal Realm Alliance, they would be controlled by the Immortal Realm Alliance. They wouldn't even have the least bit of freedom, let alone resources. As long as Murongyu didn't appear, they would always be controlled. As long as Murongyu appeared, they would no longer have any value and would be killed. "Lord Luo, we're handing Guan Jie over to you to deal with. If you don't want to deal with him, just say the word and I'll kill him for you." Guan Tianhong said to Luo Guang with a flattering smile. This bastard, Guan Jie, gritted his teeth when he heard Guan Tianhong's words. However, he chose to remain silent. Since it had already come to this, it was no big deal if he died. You want to kill him?" Luo Guang's face was expressionless, but at this moment his eyes turned sharp. Guan Tianhong felt uneasy as he watched. What a joke. He controlled the Guan family mainly because of Guan Jie. In the entire Guan family, only Guan Jie had a good relationship with Murongyu. As for the others, so what if he controlled them? What did it have to do with Murongyu? The reason why he controlled the Guan family was to force Murongyu to appear. He had used so many years to force Murongyu to appear. If Murongyu didn't appear, the world would despise him. These people had been arrested because of him. Therefore, Murongyu had to step in. Moreover, with Murongyu's temperament, he would definitely appear as long as they controlled these people. You can die. Everyone in the Guan family can die. Only Guan Jie can't die. Do you understand? Luo Guang said calmly, but his tone was filled with killing intent. Yes. Guan Tianhong's heart skipped a beat, and he lowered his head. How lively! At this moment, a voice came from afar. Immediately after, everyone saw 3 figures shooting over from the distant sky at an incomparably fast speed. It's them. Guan Jie almost cried out when he saw the people. Shangguan Bo Yi Feng. Guan Tianhong exclaimed in surprise as he looked at 2 of the 3 people in the air. He received news that the Shangwan family and the Yi family were suppressed by the Immortal Realm Alliance. Could it be that these two families have joined the Immortal Realm Alliance? Guanjie, look. Shangwan Bo and Yi Feng have joined the Immortal Realm Alliance. What else do you have to say? Guan Tianhong looked at Guanjie and sneered. Guanjie's face immediately darkened because he had the same thought. However, when he saw Shangwan Bo and Yi Feng, he also saw Murongyu. Therefore, he felt that something was wrong. If Shangwan Bo and Yi Feng really joined the Immortal Realm Alliance, why were they with Murongyu? Therefore, he was silent. He wanted to see what was going on. You're from the Shangwan family and the Yi family? Luo Guang turned to look at Murongyu and the other two who had landed on the ground and were striding into the main hall. Strictly speaking, he was looking at Shangwan Bo and Yi Feng. Murongyu was only at the intermediate stage of the Immortal Monarch realm. Naturally, he was ignored. Guanjie, you've worked so hard for the Guan family. How did you end up like this? After entering the main hall, Shangwan Bo and the others did not even look at Luo Guang and the others. They walked straight toward Guanjie. Shangwan Bo, how dare you barge into the Guan family? Guan Tianhong's face darkened. He stood in front of Shangwan Bo and said sternly, "Scram!" Shangwan Bo shouted coldly. A cold light flashed in his eyes. At the same time, he slapped out, "Pop, pooh!" Guan Tianhong, who was at the advanced stage of the Immortal Emperor realm, could not even withstand a single blow. He was sent flying by Shangwan Bo's slap. Blood spurted out of his mouth as he flew through the air. In the end, he crashed into the wall of the main hall and fell down. His face was filled with shock. At most, he had 100,000 dragons of strength. However, Shangwan Bo, who was at the Immortal Venerable realm, had 1,000,000 dragons of strength. How big was the gap between them? Immortal Venerable? Could it be that you killed them? Luo Guang's eyes shone brightly. He shouted coldly and stretched out his hand. He tore the void apart and made a grab at Shangwan Bo. Shangwan Bo snorted coldly and threw out a punch. Boom! Luo Guang did not move at all. On the other hand, Shangwan Bo was sent flying by the attack. It was obvious who was stronger and who was weaker. Shangwan Bo was no match for Luo Guang. Luo Guang was the strongest among the three Immortal Venerables because the Guan family was the strongest among the three families. As expected of an Immortal Venerable. Let's see if I don't take you down. Luo Guang's eyes shone coldly. He took a step forward and made another grab at Shangwan Bo. Shangwan Bo's expression changed drastically. He knew that he was no match for Luo Guang. Once the battle started, he would be easily killed by Luo Guang. Of course, if he had the Immortal Venerable under his control, he would be able to fight Luo Guang. However, if he did that, the entire Guan family would be destroyed by the aftermath of their battle. Brother Murong, it seems like we still need your help. Shangwan Bo smiled helplessly as he looked at Murongyu. Brother Murong? You are Murongyu? Luo Guang's eyes shone brightly. He turned around and looked at Murongyu, who was only at the intermediate stage of the Immortal Monarch realm. At the same time, the hand that he used to attack Shangwan Bo moved towards Murongyu. What was their purpose in controlling the Guan family? It was to lure out Murongyu. If they could capture Murongyu, they would be able to obtain all the treasures on him, including the Hichu Luo Shu. As long as I get the Hichu Luo Shu. So what if you are from the Immortal World Alliance? So what if you are from the Divine Union? The Immortal World is so big. Where can I go? Luo Guang was excited. It was as though he could already see himself capturing Murongyu, obtaining the Hichu Luo Shu, and ruling over the world. Therefore, when he attacked, he had already sealed the surrounding void to prevent Murongyu from entering the Hichu Luo Shu world. Seeing Luo Guangda's hand coming for him, Murongyu acted as if he didn't see it and indifferently said, 2,000,000 dragon force. Your strength is not bad. Luo Guang's eyes narrowed. Then, a sinister smile appeared on his face. He reached out his hand, trying to capture Murongyu. Kneel down, Murongyu said indifferently. Then he slapped his hand towards Luo Guang. Following that, something that shocked everyone happened. Before Murongyu's voice could fade away, Luo Guang had already fallen to his knees. The person who was attacking Murong Yu aggressively just a moment ago had suddenly knelt down. What was going on? There was only one possibility. Murong Yu was too strong. He could suppress Luo Guang, who was an immortal reverend, with just a single hand. The gazes of everyone from the Guan clan instantly changed. When they looked at Murong Yu, the originally insignificant mid-stage heavenly monarch realm ant-like existence had transformed into an ancient divine mountain standing before them. He was so high that they could only look up at him from afar. Chapter 765. What a humiliation! Luo Guang looked at Murong Yu with hatred. He wished he could slap Murong Yu to death. However, Murong Yu's slap not only forced him to kneel on the ground, but also sealed his strength. He was now like an ordinary person. Of course, he had a strong physical body. Regardless of how angry Luo Guang was, Murong Yu waved his hand and transferred Luo Guang to the Hichu Luoshu world. Then he looked at Guan Jie, who had been unsealed by Shangguan Bo. Everyone, thank you, Guan Jie said in silence. After thanking Murong Yu and the others, he fell silent. At this moment, Guan Tianhong and the rest were shocked. At the same time, they knew that things were not going well. Originally, they wanted to join the Immortal Realm Alliance to get more resources and increase their strength. Now, even Luo Guang, the Immortal Master of the Immortal Realm Alliance, had been suppressed by Murong Yu. How could they join the Immortal Realm Alliance? If the Immortal Realm Alliance knew about this, they would probably destroy the Guan family. Now, Guan Jie's friends, Shangguan Bo and the rest, who had been suppressed by them, were so powerful. Especially Murong Yu, who looked like an immortal master, could suppress Luo Guang, who had more than 1,000,000 dragons of power. That's what happened. What do you think? Shangguan Bo transmitted a message to Guan Jie and told them about what had happened in the past few days, especially about them joining Shenzhen. Murong Yu did not say anything. He wanted to see what Guan Jie would do. Join Shenzhen? That's not a problem. Let's go. Guan Jie was a little disheartened and said with waning interest. Previously, although he was not the leader of the Guan family, he had been in charge of the Guan family. His contribution to the Guan family was self-evident. In the end, what did he get? He was sealed by a sneak attack and even wanted to kill him. Was this the family that he had been protecting? What was the point of staying in such a family? Now, these people might want to curry favor with him because of his relationship with Murong Yu. However, if someone stronger than Murong Yu were to come, wouldn't they seal Guan Jie again? You're leaving just like that? Murong Yu and the others were stunned. They hadn't expected Guan Jie to be so straightforward. Guan Jie nodded and strode out of the Guan clan's main hall. From the beginning to the end, he didn't look at the Guan clan's people again. These people had thoroughly disappointed him. From the moment they sealed him and wanted to kill him, Guan Jie had already severed his relationship with them. That's fine. In any case, I don't need such a clan. Murong Yu said lightly and disappeared from the Guan clan's main hall. If you hadn't joined the Immortal World Alliance, some of you might have been able to reach the Immortal Venerable Realm. However, you've made the wrong choice. Now, enjoy the wrath of the Immortal World Alliance. Shangguan Bo glanced coldly at Guan Tianhong and strode out. Guan Tianhong and the others' expressions changed drastically. When they wanted to say something, Murong Yu and the others had already disappeared. Patriarch, did we really make the wrong choice? An elder came to Guan Tianhong's side and asked with a dark expression. Guan Tianhong was extremely unhappy in his heart and was extremely malicious. This time, not only had they offended Murong Yu, but they'd also offended the Immortal World Alliance. With Murong Yu's strength, he could have easily exterminated the Guan clan. However, Murong Yu hadn't done so because of Guan Jie, or because he wasn't interested in doing so. However, with Luo Guang suppressed and the other immortal emperors killed, the Immortal World Alliance would definitely not let the Guan clan off. Just as Shangguan Bo had said, they would enjoy the wrath of the Immortal World Alliance. After leaving the Guan clan, Murong Yu and the others entered the Hichu Luoshu world. Guan Jie still looked depressed. After Murong Yu and the others comforted him, they left him alone. Guan Jie needed to adjust his mentality. At the moment, Murong Yu was holding a ball of cultivation world origin energy in his hand. Now, I'm already the enforcer of 7 cultivation worlds, and my strength has reached the peak of the intermediate Immortal Lord stage. However, the further I advance, the harder it is to break through the chaotic celestial body record. Right now, refining the origin energy is the best way to break through. After refining this origin energy, I'll control 8 cultivation worlds. Hopefully, I can break through to the late-stage Immortal Lord stage this time. Otherwise, I'm afraid there won't be enough time, Murong pondered. The final battle between the Divine Union and the Immortal World Alliance had yet to begin. However, Murong knew that the final battle between the two sides was getting closer and closer. This was an unavoidable trend. What Murong could do was increase his strength as much as possible before the final battle between the two sides was decided. As he thought about this, Murong slapped the ball of cultivation world origin energy into his energy center. After a few breaths, rumble. Murong strength, which had reached the limit of 7 million dragon power, increased by another 100,000 dragon power to 8 million dragon power after refining this ball of cultivation world origin energy. My realm has started to loosen. As long as I truly control this cultivation world, I can break through to the late stage Immortal Lord stage. At that time, my dragon power might exceed 2 million. Murong was pleasantly surprised. With a flash, he disappeared from the spot. Half a day later, boom, Murong, who was in the origin space of the cultivation world, trembled violently. A wave of boundless chi burst out and soared into the sky. At the same time, streams of Earth Dragon Force appeared above Murong head. 8 million, 9 million, 2 million, 2 million dragon power. This was already the strength of a mid-stage Immortal Venerable. Most of the mid-stage Immortal Venerables had only reached this level. However, Murong strength didn't seem to stop increasing after reaching 2 million dragon power. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 2,300,000 Earth Dragon power. After reaching this number, Murong strength stopped increasing. Murong stood up. He couldn't help but roar when he felt the surging strength in his body. After a long time, Murong finally calmed down. I have finally entered the late stage Immortal Lord stage. I have actually reached 3 million dragon power. Moreover, I can feel that too. 3 million dragon power isn't my limit. The limit of a late stage Immortal Lord stage should be around 5 million, or even more. I might even reach 3 million dragon power, which is close to the strength of a late stage Immortal Venerable. However, even so, with the help of all kinds of treasures, I might be able to put up a fight against a late stage Immortal Venerable. My life force seems to have advanced as well. It should be much easier for me to help Brother Shangwan increase his cultivation base. However, I have spent too much time on it. I can't raise a large number of Immortal Venerables. I wonder if I can raise a large number of Immortal Sovereigns to the Immortal Venerable realm after I become stronger. The most terrifying thing is my lifespan. It has actually reached 5 eras. One should know that the lifespan of an Immortal Venerable expert is only 1 era. My lifespan is already a few times longer than theirs. Murong was startled when he felt his long lifespan. However, he was more surprised than anything else. In addition to these changes, Murong's abilities in other aspects had also improved greatly. His strength had also become stronger. The origin of the world of cultivation is really a good thing. Refining more of the origin of the world of cultivation is the best way to increase my strength. Murong muttered in his heart as he planned to find more enforcers to refine. In fact, refining the origin of the world of cultivation and controlling it wouldn't directly increase Murong's strength. After all, although the origin of the world of cultivation was powerful, it was useless to Murong now. The only thing that was useful to Murong was to increase his talent, aptitude, and comprehension after refining the origin of the world of cultivation. Once these things were improved, his comprehension of the chaotic celestial record would increase, and he would be able to achieve a breakthrough. As long as he achieved a breakthrough in the chaotic celestial record, Murong Yu's strength would increase. According to Murong Yu's estimation, his talent had already been increased to a terrifying level. Even if he didn't refine the world of cultivation with his current talent, as long as he cultivated in seclusion, his strength would continue to increase. However, cultivating in seclusion required time. How could the current immortal world give Murong Yu time? Unless he hid in the Hichu Luoshu world and didn't come out. However, once the immortal world was unified, Murong Yu wouldn't be safe even if he hid in the Hichu Luoshu world. After all, it was just like the world of cultivation that he controlled. The entire world was under his control, and nothing could be hidden. If the immortal world was unified, then even if Murong Yu hid in the Hichu Luoshu world, as long as the Hichu Luoshu was still in the immortal world, he would be discovered and even taken away. Therefore, Murong Yu would never allow anyone to unify the immortal world. If he wanted to rule the immortal world, the person who ruled could only be him. After cleaning up the bad guys who had just taken control of the world of cultivation, Murong Yu returned to the immortal world and returned to the Hichu Luoshu world. Now that his strength had broken through, the limit of controlling immortal sovereigns was naturally gone. He was prepared to control more immortal sovereigns. It would be best if he could control the entire Immortal World Alliance. However, before that, he still had one more thing to do: help Yifeng and Guanjie increase their strength. After all, he had already helped Shangguanbo increase his strength, so he couldn't be biased. As his strength increased, his life force also increased. When he helped Yifeng and Guanjie increase their strength, it was much faster than when he helped Shangguanbo increase his realm. Especially Guanjie. Perhaps it was because he had just suffered a blow, but he put all his heart and soul into cultivation. He broke through from the immortal emperor realm to the immortal sovereign realm, but it only took half of Yifeng's breakthrough time. In a short period of time, Guanjie and Yifeng finally reached the immortal sovereign realm. However, like Shangguanbo, their strength was only at 1 million dragon power. They could only be considered an ordinary immortal sovereign, but they were still immortal sovereigns. Chapter 766. After Yifeng and Guanjie broke through to the immortal venerable realm, Murong Yu brought them back to the southern mountains and merged the Shangguan clan and Yi clan into Shangzhen, becoming a part of Shangzhen. After becoming a member of Shangzhen, they naturally enjoyed the benefits of being a disciple of Shangzhen. With all kinds of resources, the two clans quickly integrated into Shangzhen, and there was no longer any gap between them and Shangzhen. My strength has broken through to the late immortal monarch realm, and my dragon power has reached 3 million, much stronger than before. My soul has also grown a lot stronger. Now, I should be able to control more immortal venerables. Next, should I control the Gong clan of the Devil Sect, or the Heavenly Punisher Palace first? In the sacred palace of Shangzhen, Murong Yu sat on his seat, frowning as he pondered. In fact, the 4 late immortal venerables under Murong Yu's control had extremely high positions in their respective forces. But relatively speaking, Nangongjun's position was higher. Because Nangongjun was one of the ancestors of the Devil Sect's Gong clan, he controlled almost the entire Gong clan. Although Sun Haoshan and the others were strong, they didn't have the same influence and status as Nangongjun. First, I'll control the Nangong clan and use their power to control the Devil Sect. Murong Yu's eyes suddenly shone with a divine light. He had already decided what to do. Just as Murong Yu was about to enter Hichu Luoshu and return to Dajo, his expression changed. With a flash, he arrived at the entrance of the sacred palace. "Little Yu, did I disturb you?" Outside the sacred palace, a young man was looking at Murong Yu with a smile. When Murong Yu saw who it was, a warm smile appeared on his face. "Lil Feng, what brings you here? Come, let's go in and have a seat." After saying that, Murong Yu looked at the newcomer and laughed. The newcomer was none other than Murong Yu's brother, Li Feng. He was Li Ling's father. As Murong Yu's strength soared, he naturally did not forget about his brothers and his family. Li Feng's strength had already reached the immortal emperor realm. In fact, Li Feng was not the only one who had reached the immortal emperor realm. Li Gua, Li Feng's wife, Han Ying, Li Ling's younger brother, Li Yu, and his younger sister, Li Jing, had all reached the immortal emperor realm. The two of them walked in and said to Li Feng, "Little Yu, you haven't visited your father and sister-in-law for a long time. They miss you a lot, especially father. He talks about you every day." "Well, I've been a little busy recently. I'll go there later." Murong Yu's complexion turned bitter as he hastily replied, "Little Yu, it's not that I want to criticize you, but you're not young anymore. Look at what you've become." There were women, but when would they be given a status? When did you have a son and a daughter? "Little Feng, when did you learn uncle's nagging?" Murong Yu said bitterly. In fact, over the years, Murong Yu had often visited Li Feng and the others whenever he had time. However, as Murong Yu grew older, Li Gua would always ask him when he would get married and have children every time he visited. This made him feel very awkward. In the end, he did not dare to visit Li Feng's family. "Seriously, Little Yu, when do you plan to give sister-in-law and the other two a status? Dragging it out like this is not a solution, even if the three of them have no complaints." Li Feng said solemnly after sitting down. "I understand what you're saying." Murong Yu's expression also became serious. How could he not be willing to give Zhao Jiqing and the other two a status? However, now was not a good time. The Divine Union and the Immortal Realm Alliance were eyeing them covetously. Once the two sides fought, one side would unify the Immortal Realm. At that time, there would be no place for Shenzhen in the Immortal Realm. Wait until things settle down. As long as I destroy the Divine Union and the Immortal Realm Alliance, I will marry them. Murong Yu finally said after thinking about it. After you unify the Immortal Realm? Li Feng sighed and did not say anything else. He also knew Murong Yu's character. Once he had made a decision, he would not change it. "It has been hard on Jiqing and the others all these years. Once things settle down, I will live a good life with them." Murong Yu sighed in his heart. However, it was easier said than done to settle down. The Immortal Realm and the Divine Realm. As a cultivator who pursued great power, Murong Yu's greatest pursuit was to constantly break through realms and increase his strength. Right now, they were only immortals. There were gods above them. Below the gods, everything was like an ant. Murong Yu did not want to be an ant. He wanted to be a powerhouse in this world, a powerhouse who could dominate everything. For this goal, he constantly cultivated and broke through. However, the path that Murong Yu was pursuing was extremely long. In fact, Murong Yu did not know if he would be able to walk to the end of this path. Fall. This was a difficult problem that every cultivator faced. Murong Yu did not dare guarantee that he would not fall. And if he were to fall, then Zhao, Jiqing, and the others would become widows. This was also one of the reasons why Murong Yu had not wanted to give him status. Of course, Murong Yu had been hot-headed and proposed to Zhao Jiqing back then. It was not that he did not want to take responsibility. He loved Zhao Jiqing and the others deeply. He did not want them to be hurt. After chatting with Li Feng for half a day, Li Feng returned. Murong Yu returned to Dazhou. "Sun Haoshan, is there any news about the other enforcers?" After returning to Dazhou, Murong Yu immediately gathered Sun Haoshan and the others. "My lord, there is no news about this for now. As for the enforcers, if they do not reveal their identities, it is extremely difficult for outsiders to know their identities. Therefore, our investigation is not very effective," Sun Haoshan quickly replied. Murong Yu nodded slightly. As an enforcer, he naturally knew this. However, the more this was the case, the more he wanted to know about the other enforcers. After all, whether or not he could quickly increase his strength now depended on these enforcers. There is not even any news about Deng Tian and Mingyan. Murong Yu frowned slightly. The other enforcers who did not know of their identities naturally did not know of their existence. However, Deng Tian and Ming Yin had confirmed their identities as enforcers. How could they not know where they were? Sun Haoshan revealed an awkward expression and said hesitantly, "The two of them are not in Dazhou. Perhaps they are cultivating in seclusion somewhere." Investigating more enforcers was a task that Murong had ordered, but Sun Haoshan had no news at all. How could he, the commander of the scout camp, endure this? One must know that he controlled the entire scout camp of the Immortal Realm. Forget it. Let's continue the investigation. Is there any progress in other aspects? Lord, during this period of time, we have controlled quite a number of immortal venerables. However, because we have been too careful, each of us has controlled the appearance of an immortal venerable, and almost all of them are early-stage immortal venerables. Nangong Jun stepped forward and said in a deep voice. Before Murong left Dazhou, he had ordered them to start befriending the other experts of the Immortal Realm Alliance, and even control them. However, most of the immortal venerables in the scout camp were early-stage immortal venerables. At most, each of them could control an immortal venerable of the same realm. No one's soul was as monstrous as Murong's. However, even so, the number of immortal venerables under Murong's control had increased by 60 to 70. The entire scout camp had more than 50 ordinary immortal venerables, and each of them could control an immortal venerable. Sun Haoshan and the others were late-stage immortal venerables and could control many early-stage immortal venerables. They were mid-stage immortal venerables. Therefore, there were more than 400 immortal venerables under Murong's control. 400 immortal venerables. Before this, Murong thought that there weren't many immortal venerables in the entire immortal realm. But now, it seemed that he was completely wrong. The 400 immortal venerables under his control were only a drop in the ocean of immortal venerables in the immortal realm. Although there weren't many immortal venerables, there were definitely a lot of them. Very good. Continue befriending the other experts. Murong nodded. After dealing with some matters, he looked at Nangong Jun and said, "Nangong Jun, you're an old ancestor of Nangong family. Let's start with Nangong family. Slowly, we'll take control of Devil Sect and then the entire Immortal Realm Alliance. Master, apart from me, Nangong family has 2 late-stage immortal venerables. Their strength is extremely powerful. Furthermore, there are several forces like our Nangong family in the entire Devil Sect." Oh, so you're saying that Devil Sect alone has dozens of late-stage immortal venerables? Heavenly Punisher Palace and Immortal Palace are similar? Murong was surprised. Sun Haoshan and the others nodded and said in unison, "It should be about the same. At most, there's only a difference of a few late-stage immortal venerables." In other words, there were at least 100 late-stage immortal venerables among the 4 giants. The fact that Divine Union could fight against the Immortal Realm Alliance for so long and even gain the upper hand meant that the number of late-stage immortal venerables in Divine Union was at least equal to the Immortal Realm Alliance. In other words, there were at least 400 late-stage immortal venerables in the entire Immortal Realm. Moreover, apart from the ordinary late-stage immortal venerables, the sect master of Devil Sect is said to be a quasi-god. Nangong Jun added, "Quasi-god?" Murong's frown deepened. A quasi-god was an expert at G Mo's level. His dragon force was at least 5 million dragon force, or even higher. It seems like I still need to work harder in my cultivation. My strength is still too weak after all. However, I still need to control Nangong family. Murong clenched his fists tightly. His mind was still firm. By the way, isn't there Gong family and Nangong family in Devil Sect? Gong family? That's just an ordinary family. They're not on the same level as us. If my lord wishes to exterminate the Gong family, I'll immediately return to the Devil Sect and wipe them out." Nangong Jun coldly said. He was also aware of the grudge between the Gong family and Murong. "Forget it. Let's take control of Nangong family first." Murong waved his hand, and the 5 of them disappeared from the spot. Chapter 767. The sect master of the Devil Sect was a quasi-god. Then the Heavenly Punisher Palace, the Immortal Palace, and the Sacred Gate which were as famous as the devil sect, must have quasi-gods among them. Otherwise, wouldn't they have been devoured by the devil sect long ago? However, these were not within Murong Yu's consideration. He only needed to control the Nangong family now. In the devil sect, there were several forces like the Nangong family. Moreover, the Nangong family was not directly related to the sect master. So what if the Nangong family was directly related to the sect master? As long as Murong Yu controlled them and they didn't give themselves away, even the devil sect master wouldn't be able to figure out what was going on. The Yuan state, one of the millions of states in the immortal world, was the true headquarters of the devil sect. The devil sect was not in any city in the Yuan state. Instead, it existed in the most mysterious abyss mountain range in the Yuan state. The entire sect was enveloped by a huge array. Even if ordinary people knew where the devil sect was, they would not be able to get close to it, let alone enter it. However, at this moment, a figure flew over from the distant sky. When it got close to the devil sect's protective array, the figure flashed and disappeared into thin air. At the same time, the figure had already entered the devil sect. Who dares to break into the devil sect? After this figure appeared, some of the patrolling disciples near the devil's sect immediately discovered it. With a roar, a few of them flew over and surrounded the newcomer with murderous intent. They asked angrily, "What are you doing? Are you blind? You don't even recognize your ancestor?" The person who came was a handsome young man. At this moment, seeing that he was surrounded by these people, the young man could not help but be furious. At the same time, he struck out with his palm. Suddenly, the patrolling disciples of the devil sect felt that their entire bodies were bound. All of their strength was sealed and they could not move at all. Puff! The young man's hand shook and a few of them were sent flying while vomiting blood. The young man's figure swayed, and he flew into the depths of the devil sect. Who dares to break into the devil sect? Who dares to kill my disciples? At this moment, a figure flew out from the depths of the devil sect and blocked the young man's path. "Xinchang, are you going to block my path too?" When did I, Nangong Jun, get interrogated after returning to the devil sect? This time, the young man did not attack immediately. Instead, he stopped and looked at the person with a gloomy gaze. It was Xinchang. Xinchang was an expert from the Shun family of the devil sect. His strength had reached the immortal venerable realm. When he heard Nangong Jun's words, he was greatly shocked. I've long heard that Nangong Jun has already reached the late immortal venerable realm. Not only that, but he had also regained his original appearance. Could this be his original appearance? You're indeed handsome and confident. Compared to your previous ugly appearance that resembled an air-dried orange peel, you look much better now. But is he really Nangong Jun? Xinchang looked at Nangong Jun suspiciously, not showing any intention of giving way. Xinchang, you actually dare to block my path? Nangong Jun's face darkened. He was indeed somewhat displeased. With his status, how could he be blocked when he returned to the devil sect? Moreover, this Xinchang clearly knew him because the Nangong family and the Shun family were not very friendly. It could even be said that they were enemies. Of course, this kind of relationship was classified as an enemy between factions. Xinchang frowned slightly. Then, he looked at Nangong Jun with a fake smile and said, "I'm sorry. The difference between you and Nangong Jun is too big. I'm not sure if you're Nangong Jun. What if you're a spy from the Divine Union? Therefore, take out your identity token and let me verify your identity. I'll only let you in after I've confirmed your identity. Otherwise, you'll be trespassing on the devil sect, and I'll kill you without mercy." Xinchang, you're courting death. Nangong Jun was infuriated. He roared and took a step forward. Then he stretched out his hand and grabbed at Xinchang in the air. Xinchang's face changed instantly. He said with a hideous smile, "How dare you make a move in the devil sect? Today I'll capture and kill you. You're just a spy from the Divine Union. How dare you be so arrogant?" Xinchang roared and raised his strength to the limit. He also threw a punch at Nangong Jun. Nangong Jun grinned hideously. His invincible big hand grabbed at the air and shattered Xinchang's strength. Then his big hand grabbed Xinchang's neck and lifted him up like a little chick. A mere early, immortal, venerable dares to block my way. Do you think that I don't dare to kill you? Nangong Jun sneered at Xinchang. Terrifying killing intent filled the air, causing the temperature of the surrounding area to drop. Xinchang's face was filled with fear. Only now did he realize that Nangong Jun wasn't an ordinary person. Not only was he powerful, but he was also a vicious and merciless person. Even though they were both from the devil sect, Nangong Jun would definitely kill him. Thinking of this, Xinchang's face turned ashen. He put on a strong front and said, Nangong Jun, you dare to kill me? You can't kill me. If you kill me, the sect will definitely punish you. What? Now you know that I'm Nangong Jun? Killing a piece of trash like you? Don't tell me that the sect master will punish me because of a piece of trash like you? Don't forget that I'm a late immortal venerable. While speaking, Nangong Jun tightened his grip. After a loud bang, Xinchang, an early immortal venerable expert, was crushed into a cloud of blood mist. Asterisk Hong Long Long. Asterisk the moment Xinchang was killed, the sky above the devil's sect changed. Blood rain, blood clouds, and blood-red lightning were incomparably violet. Seeing Nangong Jun directly kill Xinchang, the ordinary disciples of the devil sect who were sent flying by Nangong Jun couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. Fortunately, their faces were filled with fear. They involuntarily retreated a lot, distancing themselves from Nangong Jun. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk, Nangong Jun, how dare you kill a member of my Shun family? You killed an immortal, venerable expert of the devil sect? Are you guilty? Just after Nangong Jun killed Xinchang, a figure rushed in front of Nangong Jun and said angrily, Shen Hongsheng, although you're the patriarch of the Shun family, don't talk to me in such a tone, because you're the one I hate the most. Get out of my way right now, or I'll kill you too. Don't doubt my strength with your intermediate immortal venerable realm. Nangong Jun looked coldly at Shun Hongsheng and said disdainfully, You? Shun Hongsheng was furious, but when he thought of Nangong Jun's ruthlessness and strength, he knew that he wasn't Nangong Jun's opponent. However, if he left because of Nangong Jun's words, the influence of his Shun family in the devil sect would definitely plummet. Get lost! Nangong Jun shouted coldly. With a sway of his body, he flew towards the Nangong family, not even sparing a glance at Shen Hongsheng. What a good Nangong Jun! Do you think you can do whatever you want just because you've reached the late immortal venerable realm? I'll definitely make you pay 100 times for what you did today. Shen Hongsheng looked at Nangong Jun's back and gnashed his teeth, his face full of resentment. Originally, he and Nangong Jun didn't get along well. Moreover, they were on the same level before. In fact, there was still a gap between Shun Hongsheng's strength and Nangong Jun's strength. Now, the gap between them was even bigger. Nangong Jun is back. His strength is very strong. He has really reached the late immortal venerable realm. I heard that he killed Xinchang the moment he came back. Even the patriarch of Shun family doesn't dare to stop him. Not long after, the people in the devil sect started to discuss. Originally, Shun family and Nangong family were the strongest factions in the devil sect. Both of them had 2 late immortal venerables. Now that Nangong Jun has broken through to the late immortal venerable realm, Shun family will be suppressed by Nangong family. Perhaps Nangong family will become the strongest faction in the devil sect. Don't forget, there's still the sect masters faction. The sect masters faction is the strongest faction. Although Nangong family is strong, it can't be compared to the sect masters faction. Nangong Jun has just returned to the sect, and he's already so ruthless. His scheme isn't small. I'm afraid Nangong Jun is going to rise. I'm afraid the other factions won't be a match for Nangong family. Lord, is it really okay for me to cause a ruckus in the devil's sect as soon as I come back? After all, Xinchang is the immortal venerable of the devil sect. If I kill him and incur the sect master's wrath, I'm afraid I'll be suppressed. On the way, Nangong Jun transmitted his voice to Murong Yu, who was in the Hichu Luoshu attached to his clothes. Nangong Jun had killed immortal venerable Shenchong as soon as he came back. This wasn't Nangong Jun's idea, but Murong Yu's plan. Even 10 early immortal venerables can't defeat a late immortal venerable. Shenchong's death is nothing. The sect master of the Devil Sect will definitely not suppress you because of this. After this incident, Shenchong's people will definitely come to ask for an explanation. At that time, we'll suppress Shun family as well. We'll subdue their immortal venerables. In this way, we'll control the two factions in the Devil Sect. This was Murong Yu's plan. When Nangong Jun came back, he would first control Nangong family, then gradually devour the other factions. Finally, when he had enough strength, he would eliminate the sect master of the Devil Sect. After that, Murong Yu would be able to control the entire Devil Sect. Of course, this was only Murong Yu's plan. Whether he could achieve his goal was still unknown. Boom! While they were talking, Nangong Jun landed in the Nangong family. Old ancestor Nangong Jun is back. Greetings, old ancestor. Some people of the Nangong family came out and bowed respectfully to Nangong Jun. They already knew about Nangong Jun's ferocious killing of Shenchong. Because of this, they were even more respectful to Nangong Jun. Nangong Jun nodded expressionlessly and asked indifferently, "Where the two old ancestors Nangong Long and Nangong Feng?" Old ancestor, the two old ancestors Long and Feng are already waiting for you in the main hall. Old ancestor, please go to the main hall. An early immortal venerable said respectfully to Nangong Jun. Chapter 768. Nangong Long and Nangong Feng were one of the two great ancestors of Nangong family. They were twins born from the same mother. They had been together ever since they were born. They didn't get married and had been guarding Nangong family until now. Both of them had reached the late immortal venerable realm. Their strength was extremely terrifying. Both of them had reached the late immortal venerable realm. It was imaginable how terrifying their talent was. Perhaps some people would have doubts after seeing this. Since Nangong Long and Nangong Feng had never gotten married and had children, why were they the ancestors of Nangong family? In fact, it didn't mean that they couldn't be the ancestors of Nangong family. This was because they were members of the Nangong family. They didn't have direct descendants, but there were other descendants of the Nangong family. Naturally, they were the ancestors of the Nangong family. Two ancestors long time no see. How are you? Nangong Jun's voice resounded in the main hall. Then, he strode into the hall. In the main hall, the two ancestors sat cross-legged on the seats at the back of the hall. The distance between the two seats was very close. They were inseparable. From afar, these two so-called ancestors of Nangong family looked extremely young, like a 16 or 17-year-old boy and girl. The man was handsome, and the woman was beautiful. They were truly a pair of golden boy and jade girl. After entering the main hall, Nangong Jun cupped his fists at the two ancestors and sat down on the chair beside them. If it was in the past, he wouldn't dare to act so presumptuously. Even if he didn't kneel down and kowtow to the two ancestors, he would still have to greet them respectfully. As for sitting down in the main hall, if the two ancestors didn't give him a seat, he wouldn't be qualified to sit in the main hall. However, Nangong Jun had broken through to the late immortal venerable realm. His strength was even stronger than Nangong Feng, although he was still a little weaker than Nangong Long. However, after advancing to the late immortal venerable realm, not only had he become the ancestor of Nangong family, but he was also an ancestor in Devil Sect. Nangong Jun, I heard that you killed Shenchong after coming back. Originally, the two ancestors were sitting cross-legged with their eyes closed. At this moment, they suddenly opened their eyes and glared at Nangong Jun Humph. Nangong Jun snorted and said, "It's time for our Nangong clan to rise." The four great powers have been vying for the position of alliance leader of the immortal realm. If our Nangong family is still in a state of disunity, we won't be able to compete with the heavenly punishing palace and the immortal palace. If we want to seize the position of alliance leader, our devil sect must be unified. Unify the devil sect. Nangong Long frowned slightly. Given our current strength, it's possible to suppress the other factions, but there are 3 late immortal venerables in Sect Master's faction. We won't be able to suppress them with our current strength. In Devil Sect, apart from the Sect Master, the strongest experts in the other factions were only 2 late immortal venerables. Therefore, the sudden emergence of a late immortal venerable like Nangong family had boosted the strength of Nangong family, allowing them to suppress the other factions. We don't need to suppress the Sect Master's bloodline. In fact, we only need to unify the other factions. Patriarchs, there's no time to lose. We should take action immediately and suppress the Shun clan. Otherwise, these factions will join forces to suppress our Nangong family as time goes by. Nangong Long and Feng Feng exchanged a glance, as if they were pondering about something. At this moment, a voice filled with anger was heard. Nangong Jun, you killed the experts of Shun clan. Get your ass out here. Patriarchs, why are you still hesitating? Now that Shun Honghua is here, why don't we take him down first? Then, we can take down the other patriarch of the Shun family. As long as we control the Shun family, our Nangong family will become even stronger. Nangong Jun's eyes gleamed as he looked at the 2 patriarchs of the Nangong family. According to Murong Yu's plan, he had planned to control the 2 patriarchs after returning to Nangong family. However, he later found out that the 2 patriarchs were inseparable, making it difficult for Murong Yu to take action. Currently, Murong Yu only had 4 late immortal venerables under his command. Although the 4 of them were stronger than Nangong Feng, Nangong Jun was the strongest among them. However, there was still Patriarch Nangong Long. Even if the 4 of them could suppress Nangong Long and Feng Feng, a great battle would definitely break out. At that time, not to mention suppressing old ancestor Nangong, if the demonic sect's quasi-divine sect master was drawn out, Murong Yu would have to bear the consequences. Therefore, Murong Yu decided to take a step back and not control Nangong family, but the experts of Shun clan. At that time, as long as Murong Yu's late immortal venerables were able to suppress the 2 patriarchs, he would then take action against them. Now that the patriarch of Shun clan, Shun Honghua, had come alone, this was definitely a good opportunity. Patriarch, this is a great opportunity. As long as we unify the Devil Sect, and the Sect Master ascends to the Divine World, the Devil Sect will belong to our Nangong family. If we also control the Immortal World Alliance, perhaps the entire Immortal World will belong to our Nangong family. Seeing the 2 patriarchs still hesitating, Nangong Jun couldn't help but say. At this moment, the 2 patriarchs were finally moved. After shooting out dazzling divine light from their eyes, they looked at each other and suddenly nodded. Shun Honghua, you don't have to clamor outside. Come in. Old ancestor Nangong Long suddenly said. His voice was slightly old, and it was very different from his appearance of a 16 or 17-year-old. Humph. After a cold harumph, a middle-aged man walked in, his killing intent soaring to the sky. The middle-aged man was one of the patriarchs of Shun clan, Shun Honghua. His strength was at the late immortal venerable realm, which was slightly stronger than Nangong Feng. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk after entering the main hall. Shun Honghua's eyes glinted, and he looked at Nangong Jun with a murderous look, as though he was about to attack. Nangong Jun harumphed coldly, looked at the 2 patriarchs, and transmitted his voice. 2 patriarchs, if you don't take action now, when will you? Try to suppress Shun Honghua as soon as possible. Attack! Nangong Long roared. Almost at the same time, Nangong Longfeng and Nangong Jun unleashed their strongest attacks at Shun Honghua. Hong, what's going on? How dare you guys attack me? Never in his wildest dreams would Shun Honghua have imagined that Nangong Jun and the other 2 would actually make a move on him. Moreover, it was in the Nangong clan. However, he was still a late immortal venerable. His strength was very powerful, so his reaction was naturally fast. After a moment of shock, he reacted and was about to unleash his strongest attack at the 3 patriarchs of Nangong family. However, at this moment, he suddenly felt that the void around him seemed to have solidified. It had actually restrained him. In just a split second, the attacks of the three patriarchs had already arrived. Asterisk bang. Asterisk after a muffled sound. Shun Honghua felt as though he was being pressed down by a divine mountain. Under the effect of the incomparably terrifying force, he was forced to kneel on the ground. Although he was strong, he was only slightly stronger than Nangong Feng, and not as strong as Nangong Jun and Nangong Long. Moreover, the three patriarchs had attacked him suddenly, catching him off guard. On the other side, when he was about to attack, the space around him seemed to be confined by someone, and he couldn't unleash his strength. In the end, he could only kneel in front of the three patriarchs in humiliation. Asterisk who? Asterisk after suppressing Shun Honghua. The two patriarchs couldn't help but exchange a glance with each other and let out a sigh of relief. However, they immediately frowned, because even if they had suppressed Shun Honghua, they couldn't make him submit to them. And if Shun Honghua was unable to submit, their actions today had already caused an irreconcilable enmity between the two sides. Just when the two patriarchs were hesitating, thinking about how to deal with Shun Honghua had already started to clamor. Nangong Longfeng, Nangong Jun, let me go at once. The humiliation you have given me today, I will return it 10,000 times in the future. Shun Honghua gritted his teeth and glared at the three patriarchs, his eyes full of resentment. Is that so? Unfortunately, you won't have a chance. Nangong Jun suddenly snorted coldly. With a sway of his body, he appeared in front of Shun Honghua. At the same time, he stretched out his big hand and slapped towards Shun Honghua's head. You dare to kill me? Shun Honghua's expression changed instantly. No. Nangong Long was also shocked, thinking that Nangong Jun was going to kill Shun Honghua. He stretched out his big hand towards Nangong Jun, trying to stop Nangong Jun from killing Shun Honghua. In Devil Sect, Nangong Jun had killed Shun Chong, an early immortal venerable. Devil Sect wouldn't punish Nangong Jun for that. However, if Nangong Jun killed Shun Honghua, a late immortal venerable, Shun family and Nangong family would become irreconcilable enemies. Moreover, Devil Sect and even the Sectmaster Devil Sect would intervene. I won't kill you. Nangong Jun sneered. His big hand had already slapped down. Nangong Long's big hand stopped. He felt that Nangong Jun wouldn't be so stupid to kill Shun Honghua. Arg! At this moment, Shun Honghua let out a miserable shriek. Nangong Jun, how dare you extract my soul? How dare you enslave me? Our sect master won't let you go. Shun Hongchang screamed, his face full of resentment. Even Nangong Long and Nangong Feng looked at each other in dismay. They had never thought that Nangong Jun would be so audacious as to enslave Shun Honghua. If you want to unify Devil Sect, this method is necessary. Nangong Jun sneered and extracted Shun Honghua's soul. What Nangong Long and Feng didn't see was that after Nangong Jun extracted Shun Honghua's soul, he didn't refine it. Instead, this strand of soul disappeared into thin air somewhere on the surface of his body. Chapter 769. Another late immortal venerable. Although he's not as strong as Nangong Jun and the others, he's still very strong. The most important thing is that after subduing him, my strength will become even stronger, and the possibility of subduing the Devil Sect will be higher. The Hichu Luo Shu, which had shrunk to an invisible particle, was attached to the surface of Nangong Jun's body. After extracting Shun Honghua's soul, he didn't refine it himself, but transferred it to Murongyu in the Hichu Luo Shu instead. Murongyu immediately controlled Shun Honghua. At this point, the number of late immortal venerables under Murongyu's command had reached 5. Their strength was getting stronger and stronger. Of course, all of this was done secretly. Even the 2 late immortal venerables, Nangong Longfeng, didn't notice anything. They thought that Nangong Jun was the one controlling Shun Honghua. Shun Honghua, listen to Nangong Jun's orders. From now on, Nangong Jun is your master. In order to prevent Nangong Longfeng and Nangong Yu from becoming suspicious, Murong Yu immediately gave Shun Honghua the order. Nangong Jun, once the Shun clan finds out that we've taken control of Shun Honghua, they'll definitely fight us to the death. Moreover, once the other sects know about this, I'm afraid even the sect master won't let us go, Nangong Feng said with a frown. After all, although these sects didn't get along well with each other and wanted to suppress the other sections. After all, they were the forces of the devil sect. Suppression was fine, competition was fine, and even vicious competition was fine. However, directly controlling the soul of an expert was a little too vile. No matter which sect it was, such a situation was not allowed. If the sect master of the devil sect found out about this, Nangong Jun might be directly suppressed. If not, how can we subdue the other old ancestors? If not, how can our Nangong family unify the devil sect, or even unify the immortal world? Nangong Jun sneered and scoffed at Nangong Feng's words. Moreover, although Shun Honghua is under my control now, as long as we don't say anything, who will know that he's under my control? Once he is under my control, he will be absolutely loyal to me. Even the sect master will not be able to discover it. Nangong Jun said indifferently. Since that's the case, we might as well go all the way and control the other patriarch of the Shun family, Shun Honggang. Nangong Long suddenly said. Nangong Jun nodded. Then let's go straight to the Shun family. Now that Shun Honghua is here, we might as well pretend to reconcile with them and apologize to them personally. With that, Nangong Jun and the other three left the Nangong clan. With Shun Honghua leading the way, they went straight to the Shun clan. Nangong Jun had killed Shun Chong, and the Shun family's ancestor had come to find trouble with Nangong Jun. This matter had already spread like wildfire in the devil sect. Countless people and forces were watching this matter coldly from the sidelines. It's best if these two forces completely break off their relationship and kill each other until both sides suffer heavy losses. Someone watched all this coldly and sneered in his heart. After all, both the Nangong family and the Shun family were one of the more powerful forces in the devil sect. Many factions were suppressed by these two families. Shun Honghua killed his way to the Nangong family with a murderous aura, but why does he look so calm now? And the three patriarchs of the Nangong family have all entered the Shun family? Could it be that they have reconciled? Could it be that these two families have joined forces? Many people who wanted to watch a good show frowned when they saw Nangong Longfeng and the others enter the Shun family. They were puzzled. If the Nangong family and the Shun family really joined forces, the situation in the devil sect might have to be rewritten. Nangong Jun, it's you? What are you doing in the Shun family? We don't like you that much. Nangong Jun and the others had just stepped in the Shun family when they saw the patriarch of the Shun family, Shun Honcheng. Then, Shun Honcheng said coldly, Honcheng, I have already reached an agreement with Nangong Jun and the others. The two families are preparing to join forces. I'm going to discuss this with Big Brother. Shun Honghua looked at Shun Honcheng and frowned slightly. What? Are two families joining forces? With the Nangong family? Second brother, are you crazy? It's not like you don't know how ambitious Nangong Jun is. Shun Honcheng frowned and said in a deep voice. It turned out that there were three patriarchs in the Shun family. One of them was Shun Honghua, who was ranked second. The third was Shun Honcheng, who was at the intermediate stage. Among the three patriarchs, the most powerful one was their eldest brother, Shun Honggang. He was currently in seclusion. Third brother, don't say any more. I will go look for Big Brother immediately. This matter should be settled just like that. Don't be so narrow-minded. Shun Honghua looked at Shun Honcheng and turned around to lead Nangong Jun and the others into the depths of the Shun family. They have joined forces with the Nangong family? Shun Honcheng's expression kept changing as he followed Nangong Jun and the others in large strides. Second brother, third brother, come in. Shun Honghua and the others had just walked to where Shun Honggang was in seclusion when Shun Honggang, who was in seclusion, suddenly spoke. He must have heard the conversation between Shun Honghua and Nangong Jun immediately. Everyone entered the main hall in a single file. Shen Hongang was a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 40s. His strong body exuded a tyrannical aura. He was surrounded by a murderous aura. Obviously, he was a vicious and merciless super expert whose hands were stained with blood. Big Brother. After everyone entered the main hall, Shen Honghua took a few steps forward and approached Shen Hongang. Shen Hongang nodded. Just as he was about to speak, a terrifying aura suddenly erupted from Shen Honghua's body. At the same time, Shen Honghua's godly fist was invincible. He punched out fiercely with a terrifying aura that could destroy the heavens and earth. He attacked Shen Hongang fiercely. The moment Shen Honghua attacked, Nangong Longfeng and Nangong Jun, the three patriarchs of the Nangong family, also attacked Shen Hongang with their strongest attacks. In addition, Murong Yu, Sun Haoshan, and the others in Hichu, Luoshu also attacked secretly. Of course, Sun Haoshan and the others could not attack with their strongest attacks. Otherwise, they would attract the attention of Nangong Long and the others. However, Murong Yu attacked with all his strength. He used spatial imprisonment to bind Shen Hongang directly. Although Murong Yu could not bind Shen Hongang for a long time with his current strength, even if it was only for a moment, it was enough. Second brother, you... Shen Honggang's face was filled with shock as he exclaimed. However, Shen Honghua's godly fist had already landed heavily on his body. A terrifying power erupted, and Shen Honggang's fleshly body was nearly shattered into pieces. At the same time, Murong Yu, Nangong Jun, Nangong Fenglong, and the others' attacks also bombarded. Puff! Shen Hongang spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire body was sealed. Nangong Jun took a step forward and rushed in front of Shen Hongang. He reached out his hand and directly inserted it into Shen Honggang's soul space, extracting his soul. Then, unbeknownst to anyone, this strand of Shen Honggang's soul had entered Hichu Luoshu world and was refined by Murong Yu. Shen Hongang, a late immortal venerable expert, didn't even have the time to react before he was controlled. As a matter of fact, it wasn't that Shen Hongang was weak. If it was someone else, it would be impossible to subdue him in such a short period of time. Because of his relationship with Shen Honghua, Shen Hongang didn't put his guard up against Shen Honghua. Therefore, he was caught unprepared. If it was someone else, Shen Hongang would never let his guard down. Even if there were many experts, a great battle would probably break out if they wanted to subdue him. You, second brother. At this time, Shen Hongcheng finally reacted. His face was full of shock as he looked at Shen Honghua and the others in disbelief. Third brother, I'm sorry. Shen Honghua sneered and took a step forward. He struck out his big hand and attacked Shen Hongcheng. Second brother, you guys. How dare you control Big Brother? I must report this matter to the sect master. Shen Hongcheng roared and turned to flee. Where are you going? Nangong Jun sneered and struck out his big hand, pressing down on Shen Hongcheng. Shen Hongcheng was merely an intermediate immortal venerable. He wasn't a match for Nangong Jun, let alone Shen Honghua. Without any suspense, he was suppressed. In the end, his soul was extracted by Nangong Jun, and he became Murong Yu's slave. That's right, Nangong Jun extracted his soul, but it was refined by Murong Yu. Nangong Jun, what is the meaning of this? After subduing Shen Hongcheng, Nangong Long's face turned gloomy as he looked at Nangong Jun currently. Nangong Jun had already enslaved 3 experts. 2 of them were late immortal venerables, and 1 was an intermediate immortal venerable. In other words, he had already taken control of Shen family. His strength had skyrocketed, surpassing Nangong Longfeng and Shen Hongcheng. Originally, their plan was to let Nangong Long control Shen Hongang after controlling the Shen family, but Nangong Jun didn't give them a chance at all. If this continued, Nangong Jun would suppress the 2 of them sooner or later. However, this was a scene that Nangong Longfeng and Nangong Longfeng were unwilling to see. Originally, even though Nangong Jun had broken through to the late immortal venerable realm and become an old ancestor, he still hadn't reached the level of a late immortal venerable. However, his status in the Nangong clan was still inferior to Nangong Longfeng and Nangong Longfeng. The two of them would not allow Nangong Jun's status to surpass theirs. Dragon Patriarch and Phoenix Patriarch, you two are not suited for fighting. In the future, the two of you should retreat behind the scenes. Let me, Nangong Jun, take charge of everything. Nangong Jun looked at Nangong Longfeng and Phoenix Patriarch and suddenly sneered. Nangong Jun? What do you mean? Nangong Feng was furious. She looked at Nangong Jun with a murderous expression. Nothing much. I just want you to submit to me. You want to enslave us? Even if you have enslaved Shen Honghua and the others, if you want to enslave us, we will still kill you. Nangong Long was enraged. Endless killing intent erupted and surged towards Nangong Jun like a tide. Chapter 770. Nangong Jun's ambition is not bad, but it'll be a waste to kill him. Brother, let's take him down and control him. Nangong Feng said coldly. She took a step forward and threw out a punch at Nangong Jun. Control me? Nangong Jun sneered disdainfully and bellowed. Come out, master! Asterisk Kong. Asterisk before Nangong Jun had even finished speaking. A huge fist suddenly shattered space from the depths of the void. It blasted out with a terrifying aura that could destroy the world. Apart from that, three other chi that made Nangong Longfeng and Nangong Jun's heart palpitated erupted, locking onto them and bombarding them. Murong Yu and the others who were in the Hichu Luoshu world had made their move. During this process, Shen Honghua and his brother also unleashed their full strength, attacking Nangong Longfeng and Nangong Jun's 6 late immortal venerables and 1 late immortal venerable, Murong Yu, attacked Nangong Longfeng at the same time. Terrifying energy erupted, tearing the heaven and earth apart. It was extremely terrifying. Nangong Longfeng and Nangong Jun's expression changed dramatically. Nangong Long roared. Nangong Jun, you really have the ambition of a wolf. Have you been plotting against us for a long time? You're right. Nangong Jun grinned maliciously. With a flicker, he rushed forward and unleashed his strongest attack at Nangong Jun. You're courting death. Nangong Feng bellowed coldly. Her hand turned into a claw, clawing at Murong Yu's head, intending to crush Murong Yu. In Nangong Feng's eyes, Murong Yu was merely a late immortal monarch. How dare he attack her with such a cultivation base? Wasn't he looking down on her? Spatial barrier, spatial confinement, spatial turbulence, spatial barrier, spatial tier. Although Murong Yu only struck out a punch, it contained multiple secret arts that sealed the entire space. At this moment, Nangong Feng's expression changed abruptly because she felt that the surrounding void had solidified, crazily suppressing her. In an instant, she felt as though she had been frozen by a prehistoric ice. Her strength didn't disappear, but her whole body was bound. Shit! Nangong Feng screamed in her heart. The energy in her body began to surge wildly, trying to break the suppression of the void. However, her current opponents were all super powerhouses. It was only a momentary pause, but Murong Yu and the others had already grasped the opportunity to unleash their terrifying attacks. Asterisk when Murong Yu's fist landed on her body, Nangong Feng immediately turned pale with fright. Nangong Jun's, and Nangong Jun's is. This little ant who was only at the high immortal realm actually possessed such terrifying strength? Nangong Jun, and Nangong Jun originally. Nangong Jun and Nangong Jun's strength was slightly higher than hers. Now, she was first bound by Murong Yu's spatial energy and then attacked by two experts who were stronger than her. Nangong Feng was instantly in a tragic situation. Poo. In an instant, Nangong Feng's body was half destroyed, and her strength was greatly reduced. Seal! Zhou Gang and Nangong Jun roared, and violent energy came crashing down. In addition to Murong Yu's spatial restraint, Nangong Feng's strength was sealed. After sealing Nangong Feng, Murong Yu didn't have time to extract her soul, so he directly kept her in the Hichu Luoshu world. Almost at the same time Nangong phone was sealed, Nangong Jun turned around and pounced in the other direction. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. The rise of the rabbit and the fall of the falcon, a myriad of changes occurring in an instant. From Morong Yu's attack to Nangong phone being suppressed and kept in the Hichu Luoshu world, the time was too short. Only then did Nangong Long react. However, so what if Nangong Long reacted? He couldn't overturn the situation. 6 late-stage immortal venerables and Murong Yu, who was comparable to a late-stage immortal venerable, attacked together. Especially Murong Yu's spatial manipulation ability, it was too disgusting. Even if Murong Yu's spatial energy couldn't bind Nangong Long for a long time. However, in a battle between experts, even a moment's effect was fatal. On the other hand, Murong Yu's powerful spatial energy wasn't as simple as a mere instant. Nangong Long roared, and his killing intent was overflowing. However, he wasn't attacked by Murong Yu and the other 7 super experts who were like wolves and tigers. However, Nangong Long's strength was really strong. It should be similar to Sun Haoshan, which was around 3.6 million Earth Dragon strength. Even if Murong Yu and the other 6 attacked furiously, they couldn't suppress him. If it wasn't for Sun Haoshan, Murong Yu and the others wouldn't be able to suppress him. Of course, other than Sun Haoshan, Murong Yu's spatial energy was also very useful. If it wasn't for his spatial energy, even if Sun Haoshan attacked, they wouldn't be able to control Nangong Long in the main hall. All of you must die. All of you must die. Nangong Long roared continuously. The aura on his body soared to the sky. His blood and chi surged as if he wanted to break through the sky. In the battle, other than attacking Sun Haoshan and the others, most of his attacks were aimed at Nangong Jun. He hated Nangong Jun, who was filled with wild ambition. At this moment, Nangong Long still thought that Nangong Jun was the one who was leading the battle. Moreover, during the battle, Nangong Long's energy was constantly attacking in all directions. He wanted to shatter the main hall and the restriction that shrouded the main hall. Once the main hall was shattered, they would be exposed in front of everyone in the Devil's Sect. At that time, the experts of the Devil's Sect would come to kill them. Even the sect master of the Devil's Sect, who was in seclusion in the quasi-god realm, might come out and kill Murong Yu and the others. How terrifying was the strength of a quasi-god? Murong Yu had seen it before. Back in the Divine Tomb, when Ji Gang was resurrected, the power that erupted from him was extremely terrifying. At that time, Ji Gang killed immortal venerables as if they were dogs. There were even late-stage immortal venerables among those immortal venerables. For a quasi-god, killing an ordinary late-stage immortal venerables was as easy as killing an ant. Oh no! After Murong Yu attacked Nangong Long with his fury trampling mountains and rivers, his face couldn't help but change slightly. This was because he discovered that in the midst of their battle, the shock waves from their battle had already begun to shatter the entire hall. Once the main hall was shattered, Murong Yu and the others would be completely destroyed. Spatial shield, spatial barrier. Murong Yu gave up on attacking and started to seal the void with all his strength. However, what made him helpless was that the power that erupted from everyone was too terrifying. He couldn't repair it at all. Descending gods. In the end, Murong Yu was infuriated. He stopped sealing the void and used an ultimate move, a move that could affect one's mind. Sure enough, even though Nangong Long's strength was monstrous and incomparably powerful, but after Murong Yu used the descending gods, his mind couldn't help but fall into a trance. It was during this trance that Sun Haoshan and the others seized the opportunity. Nangong Long surrender. Nangong Jun roared. His invincible divine fist rushed forward and punched Nangong Long's body. Almost at the same time, the other late-stage immortal venerables' attacks also bombarded Nangong Long's body. The Devil's Sect will not let you go. Nangong Long simply couldn't withstand the joint attack of so many experts. His body was instantly smashed. He was almost killed by the bombardment. If it wasn't for the fact that Murong Yu didn't have the intention to kill him, Of course, if Murong wanted to kill him, there was no need for him to fight for such a long time. Sun Haoshan and the others attacked him with all their might. No matter how powerful Nangong Long was, he wouldn't be able to withstand their attacks. The so-called enemy of 10,000? There might be such a person when one's cultivation base was low and his strength was weak. But as one's strength grew stronger, such a person basically disappeared. After all, a fist was still no match for two hands. A hero couldn't withstand so many people. Nangong Long, surrender. Murong sneered and took a step forward. With a wave of his hand, he kept Nangong Long into the Hichu Luoshu world. Asterisk Hong Ka Ka. Asterisk, just as Murong kept Nangong Long into the Hichu Luoshu world, the entire main hall began to emit a series of noises, as if it was about to shatter. Oh no! Murong expression changed drastically. He kept Sun Haoshan and the others into the Hichu Luoshu world, and then he entered as well. After entering the Hichu Luoshu world, Murong immediately activated the time acceleration, reaching the maximum speed possible. He immediately extracted the souls of Nangong Long Feng and Nangong Long. Then, he began to treat their injuries. Half of their bodies were smashed, especially Nangong Long, who was severely injured. If they were to treat their own injuries, even with all kinds of top-grade elixirs, they wouldn't be able to recover without hundreds of thousands of years. But now, they had Murong's life force. Under the frantic scouring of a life force, their injuries quickly recovered. Outside, in the main hall of the Shun family of the Devil Sect. Boom! After an earth-shattering explosion, the main hall of the Shun family finally couldn't withstand it and collapsed with a loud bang. At this moment, the three brothers of the Shun family and Nangong Jun's expressions changed drastically. It wasn't because they were afraid that the collapsed palace would injure them. It was because there were only the few of them now. Nangong Longfeng and Nangong Long weren't here. Previously, the palace was surrounded by countless restrictions. Even if an earth-shattering battle happened inside, the people outside wouldn't know. But once the main hall collapsed, the people outside would immediately realize that Nangong Longfeng and Nangong Long were missing. So, how could they explain this? At most, we'll just run when the time comes. Nangong Jun felt his scalp go numb. His figure flashed, and he was about to leave this place. They weren't interested in standing here and being smashed by the collapsing main hall. But just as they were about to leave, Nangong Longfeng and Nangong Long appeared out of thin air. Their injuries had long recovered. In addition, their auras seemed to be stronger than before. Chapter 771. In the He-Tu and Luo-Shu world, where time was accelerated, hundreds of thousands or even millions of years had passed in that instant. In such a long time, Nangong Long and Nangong Sheng's injuries had already recovered. Not only that, their strength had also increased. However, Murong didn't refine their bodies, so their growth wasn't obvious. But at least they were stronger than before. Seeing Nangong Long and Nangong Sheng's appearance, Nangong Jun and the rest heaved a sigh of relief. Everyone, we were just exchanging pointers in the palace just now. From now on, I officially announce that our Shun family and Nangong family have officially joined forces. Shun Honggong's voice spread far and wide, resounding throughout the Devil Sect. What's going on? Shun family and Nangong family have really joined forces? Weren't they like fire and water before this? Hearing Shun Honggong's voice, the expression of many people in the Devil Sect changed greatly. Although the Devil Sect is powerful, it's still in a state of disunity. In the long run, the strength of the Devil Sect is bound to decline and decline. Therefore, our Nangong family and Shun family have joined forces, swearing to integrate the Devil Sect and make it even more powerful. At this moment, Nangong Long said in a deep voice. Nangong family and Shun family had joined forces, causing many people in the Devil Sect to feel a sense of danger. Obviously, the ambition of these two families wasn't small. They actually wanted to integrate the Devil Sect. For a moment, in the Devil Sect, apart from the sect master, the rest of the people started to move, forming their own alliances. They didn't want to be suppressed by Nangong, June, and the rest. However, no matter if it was Nangong family or Shun family, they were both super families in the Devil Sect. Now, they even had 6 late immortal venerables. Ordinary factions weren't their opponents at all. Moreover, after a few days, Murong Yu's eyes had controlled all the immortal venerables of Nangong family and Shun family. Only by controlling their souls would Murong Yu believe that they wouldn't betray him. Otherwise, once it was discovered, Murong Yu would be finished. At the same time, Nangong family and Shun family had also begun to suppress and subdue the other factions. After half a month, many factions had joined the Nangong family. Without exception, the immortal venerables of these factions were all controlled by Murong Yu. At this point, Murong Yu had already controlled dozens of celestial venerables in the Devil Sect. Of course, there were only Nangong Long and a few other late immortal venerables, but there were 10 intermediate immortal venerables. His strength could be considered very strong. Within the Devil Sect, all the powers have already joined forces. If a small alliance were to join a powerful alliance, it would be even more difficult for them to control more immortal sovereigns. Murong Yu sat on the main seat in the Nangong family's main hall and frowned as he thought to himself. Moreover, such a big thing has happened in the Devil Sect, yet the sect master's bloodline is not concerned at all. Even the Devil sect leader didn't do anything. Is he really in seclusion, or is he not in the Devil Sect? If he's not in the Devil Sect, I can take advantage of this opportunity to control all the experts in the Devil Sect. Murong Yu's eyes flashed with a myriad of thoughts. However, he wasn't sure if the Devil sect leader was in the Devil Sect. This was because the entire Devil Sect only knew that their sect leader was in seclusion, but they weren't sure where he was. Even an expert like Nangong Long couldn't be sure. Nangong Long, your Devil Sect often has experts suppressing the demon race of the Extreme Heaven Realm. What's going on? The Extreme Heaven Realm was suppressed by the Devil Sect, and there wasn't even a transformation stage demon race. The Devil Sect wouldn't allow the demon race to become stronger. This was because of the heavenly demon god. However, Murong Yu had ascended to the immortal world for a period of time, and his strength had increased by more than 2 million Earth Dragon Force, which was comparable to an ordinary late immortal venerables. However, he hadn't heard of the heavenly demon god's deeds in the immortal world. It was as if the heavenly demon god had never appeared. This made Murong Yu very curious, and he had asked Nangong Jun about it. However, Nangong Jun was also at a loss, as he didn't know anything. "My lord, you know about the Extreme Heaven Realm?" Nangong Long's face was filled with shock, which made Murong Yu happy. He knew that Nangong Long might know something. "Yes, many years ago we lost control of the Extreme Heaven Realm. All these years, the Devil Sect has been investigating, but our people couldn't enter the Extreme Heaven Realm, or even if they went in, there was no news. My lord, you must have taken control of the Extreme Heaven Realm." Nangong Long frowned and said, "When Murong Yu killed the Extreme Heaven Realm's master and took control of the Extreme Heaven Realm, the Devil Sect had sent people to re-enter the Extreme Heaven Realm. However, that was because the Extreme Heaven Realm was already under Murong Yu's control, and those people who entered the Extreme Heaven Realm would die. Even without Murong Yu's help, the Devil Sect's people who entered the Extreme Heaven Realm would be killed by the demon race. After all, even if an immortal emperor entered the Extreme Heaven Realm, his strength would be suppressed to below the sky immortal realm. Moreover, the Devil Sect couldn't send powerful immortals. At most they would send sky immortals, high immortals, and other low-level immortals. As the demon race in the Extreme Heaven Realm became more and more powerful, the Devil Sect's people who entered died. In the end, the Devil Sect simply gave up on the Extreme Heaven Realm. "My lord, I don't know much about the Extreme Heaven Realm. The reason why we suppressed the Extreme Heaven Realm was entirely because of the higher-ups." Nangong Long pointed to the sky as he spoke. "God Realm." Murong Yu frowned slightly. Nangong Long nodded and said, According to the records of the Devil Sect, a heavenly demon race offended a demon race. The extreme heaven realm's heavenly demon god had offended some big shot and was suppressed. In the end, he fled to the immortal world and created the extreme heaven realm to breed the demon race. However, the higher-ups couldn't come down, so this matter was left to the Devil Sect. All this time, the Devil Sect has been suppressing the extreme heaven realm to prevent the demon race from having immortal ascension. It was actually the higher-ups, but in the murals of the Sky Demon God, the Sky Demon God was clearly an ordinary demon when he rose to power. He slaughtered the mortal realm and the immortal realm until he was killed by the mighty people of the immortal realm after he became an immortal. Could it be that those murals aren't real? Or perhaps there's more to it? Moronu frowned slightly. Once again, he felt that the Sky Demon God wasn't simple. Sky Demon God, what's going on? Moronu asked in a low voice. My lord, from what I know, the Sky Demon God isn't from the Yin Huang immortal realm. In fact, we don't know which immortal realm he's from, or even if he's from the immortal realm. We only know that the Sky Demon God is a taboo existence up there. Up there, the Sky Demon God's bloodline has been mostly wiped out. There shouldn't be any survivors. My lord, once you ascend to the immortal realm, you must not get involved with the Sky Demon God. Otherwise, it will be very disadvantageous for you. Nangong Long warned. The Sky Demon God is a taboo existence in the immortal realm? Moronu frowned slightly. Since Nangong Long dared to say this, then this matter should be more or less true. But the more this was so, the more Moronu was curious about the Sky Demon God's background. Besides, it was impossible for him to disassociate himself from the Sky Demon God now. The demons of the extreme celestial realm were the descendants of the Sky Demon God, and the fire-eyed golden ape was the direct descendant of the Sky Demon God. They were related by bloodline, and the Sky Demon God's legacy had also been obtained by the fire-eyed golden ape. Once Moronu and the others ascended to the immortal realm, once news of the fire-eyed golden ape and the others leaked out, Moronu would probably be suppressed by the various factions of the immortal realm and even the mighty people. It doesn't matter. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. The Sky Demon God has already been killed for so many years. When I ascend, perhaps the people of the immortal realm will have already forgotten about it. Moronu sneered in his heart, but he also knew that since the Sky Demon God was a taboo existence, this was really too terrifying. It would be difficult for people to forget about it. Since Moronu asked about the extreme celestial realm, he might as well ask about the immortal tomb. Nangong Long, do you know what's going on with the immortal tomb? The immortal tomb was in the Huaxiao world of cultivation that he controlled, but Moronu knew nothing about it. Even with his current strength, he couldn't see through the immortal tomb at all. He didn't even dare to enter it. After Moronu mastered the Zai technique and the rules of space, he even dared to enter the immortal realm. But he didn't dare to enter the immortal tomb, because he felt danger from the immortal tomb. The immortal tomb? Nangong Long's face was filled with fear and even turned pale. Seeing this, Moronu was surprised, but he didn't ask and only waited for Nangong Long to speak. Master, the immortal tomb, strictly speaking, should be the divine tomb. In the past, it devoured many immortal venerables in the immortal realm. At that time, I was only a mid-stage immortal venerable, but I was almost devoured by it. Nangong Long said in fear. It can even devour immortal venerables? Moronu was shocked. If this was true, then the immortal tomb wasn't an immortal tomb, but a divine tomb. After all, no matter how powerful the immortal tomb was, it wouldn't make an immortal venerable so afraid. I don't know when the divine tomb appeared in the immortal realm. It has always been a forbidden area in the immortal realm. But for some reason, it suddenly disappeared from the immortal realm 100 million years ago. No one knows where it came from or where it went. We only know that it's terrifying, extremely terrifying. Of course, after I reached the mid-stage immortal venerable realm, I wanted to enter the divine tomb to explore it, but before I could even get close to it, my lifespan was almost exhausted. The flow of time there is just too terrifying, Nangong Long said, his face still filled with fear. Master, something big has happened in the immortal world. Just as Murong Yu wanted to get more information about the divine tomb from Nangong Long, Nangong Jun rushed into the main hall in a hurry. His face was filled with anxiety and excitement as he spoke to Murong Yu. Chapter 772. What's the matter? Murong Yu asked when he saw the complicated expression on Nangong Jun's face. A relic has appeared in the East Sea. A large number of powerhouses have already rushed to the East Sea, Nangong Jun said excitedly. It was as if he had obtained all the treasures in the relic. Murong Yu found it hard to understand. Wasn't it just a relic? Why was Nangong Jun so excited? Could the relic be like the one in the tomb of the god of sin? Murong Yu asked. The last time the tomb of the god of sin had appeared, countless powerhouses had been killed. In the end, nothing had been obtained. Although Murong Yu had obtained a set of feathered armor, it must have been the only one. Until now, Murong Yu couldn't understand why he had encountered that grasshopper. Could it be that he had encountered the only mutated grasshopper in the entire tomb of the god of sin? It's different. This time, a relic has appeared, not the tomb of the god of sin. It is said that some people have already obtained benefits from the relic. There are divine weapons, magic treasures, and the like. I even heard that there are supremacy elixirs, Nangong Jun said excitedly. Supremacy elixirs? Murong Yu's eyes lit up. Murong Yu didn't care about divine weapons or magic treasures. After all, although they were extremely powerful, they could only increase the strength of one person. However, the supremacy elixirs were different. As long as Murong Yu obtained the supremacy elixirs, Murong Yu could use the Yin-Yang cauldron to analyze the elixir formula of the supremacy elixirs and mass-produce them. When the time came, a large number of immortal supremacies would appear in Shenzhen. They would sweep through the Divine Union and the Immortal World Alliance. If a large number of powerhouses appeared in Shenzhen, would Murong Yu still need to control the Devil Sex powerhouses so carefully? He could just crush them. My lord, I heard that many powerhouses from the Divine Union and the Immortal World Alliance have already gone over. Even the epic has passed, Nangong Jun continued. Murong Yu was taken aback and frowned slightly. If even the epic had passed, the experts of the four major forces in the immortal realm, such as the Devil Sex Sect Master, would most likely go there. Even experts of this level would go there, which meant that this miracle might be real and the treasures in the ruins were definitely not simple. My lord, should we go as well? Nangong Jun looked at Murong Yu and asked. Go. Why not? Murong Yu suddenly laughed and continued. However, the East Ocean is full of dangers. Even an immortal venerable wouldn't be absolutely safe there. This time, those who were below the intermediate immortal venerable realm weren't allowed to join the expedition. Remember, safety first. Murong Yu's words were not only for Nangong Jun, but also for Sun Haoshan and the others. This time, Murong Yu was prepared to set off alone. After all, Nangong Jun and the others were from the Immortal World Alliance. If they were to go with him, it would inevitably arouse the suspicion of others. Moreover, everyone had their own opportunities. If they were to fall or obtain any benefits, it would be their own opportunity. It would have nothing to do with Murong Yu. As for why he didn't let the early immortal venerables go to the East Ocean, this was completely a form of protection for those people. This time, if one wasn't an intermediate immortal venerable, obtaining the miracle would be equivalent to courting death. Immediately, Murong Yu left the Devil Sect and returned to Dazhou. After releasing Sun Haoshan and the others, he flew towards the East Ocean. As for Lien Ryu and the others in Shenzhen, those who were above the intermediate immortal venerable realm could also go to the East Ocean. However, they had changed their appearances and left. The immortal world was an incomparably huge distance. Millions of continents were located in the immortal world. It was vast and boundless. However, the millions of continents weren't actually the entire immortal world. At best, the millions of continents were just the areas where the immortals moved around. In the entire immortal world, this area was only the tip of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg was the immortal world with millions of continents. One could only imagine how big the immortal world was. However, apart from the millions of continents, the other areas were extremely dangerous. Not to mention ordinary immortals, even immortal venerables didn't dare to set foot in those places. If one ventured deep into those desolate places, even quasi-gods would fall. Therefore, how big was the immortal world? No one knew, because no one could go deep into those places. Therefore, the places within the millions of continents had always been called the immortal world. The immortal world that people usually talked about was the millions of continents. Among them, the east and south of the immortal world was a vast and boundless ocean. It was called the Boundless Ocean and was divided into the East Ocean and the South Ocean. It was extremely dangerous, with sea beasts and strange beasts running amok. The natural disasters were extremely terrifying. Even immortal venerables would fall here. At this moment, Morongyu was standing in the East Ocean. He was floating 3,000 feet above the ocean. The East Ocean is indeed filled with raging waves that are 3,000 feet tall. Ordinary immortal emperors, even mid and late-stage immortal emperors, would probably be smashed apart if they were hit by these waves. Morongyu was a little shocked as he looked at the waves that were several thousand feet tall. This was the most ordinary phenomenon in the East Ocean. An ordinary wave was comparable to a full-powered attack from a mid-stage immortal emperor. Of course, although these waves were terrifying, they wouldn't be a threat as long as they flew higher. Just like those people who were flying towards the East Ocean. In the depths of the East Ocean, a miracle appeared and attracted countless experts. People from both the Divine Union and the Immortal World Alliance rushed over. However, those who appeared here were all immortal emperors or above. This kid is only a late-stage immortal lord. How dare he appear here? Does he have a death wish? Some people flew by and saw Morongyu floating above the ocean. They all had disdainful looks on their faces. Ordinary immortal emperors came in groups. Very few of them came alone. However, Morongyu, an immortal lord, came alone. If he wasn't arrogant, then he must be courting death. Therefore, those who passed by couldn't help but ridicule Morongyu. Those bastards, they really don't know what's good for them. Even a clay figurine like Morongyu was somewhat angry. However, fortunately, he was magnanimous and didn't want to court death with these people. Those who weren't immortal venerables were simply courting death by entering the East Ocean. Haha, kid, a mere late-stage immortal lord has come to the East Ocean. Do you also want to obtain the treasures of the miracle? Let me tell you now, you don't have to go in. Just stay here in the future. At this moment, a group of more than 10 experts flew over from the land. One of the young men couldn't help but laugh when he saw Morongyu in the void. At the same time, he stretched out his hand and slapped towards Morongyu, trying to suppress Morongyu. If Morongyu was really a late-stage immortal monarch, this immortal emperor wouldn't even need to do anything. A wave of his hand would be enough to crush Morongyu into dust. This was the intention of this immortal emperor. When the young immortal emperor made his move, the other experts also stopped and looked over with smiles on their faces. It was as though they were looking at a monkey on the street. AI, truly courting death. Morongyu shook his head and sighed. He didn't mind if these people mocked him. However, if they wanted to kill him, then they were really courting death. Morongyu would never let anyone who wanted to kill him go. Therefore, Morongyu made his move. Get down, Morongyu suddenly shouted coldly. The palm of the young immortal emperor exploded. Then, under the shocked expression of the young immortal emperor, he suddenly realized that his strength seemed to have escaped from his control. Shwa! With a sound, the young immortal emperor suddenly couldn't fly. Like a meteor, he fell towards the sea below. Save me! The young immortal emperor turned pale with fright. If he fell, he would definitely die. Courting death. Seeing this scene, the other experts immediately roared and unleashed their strongest attacks. They either attacked Morongyu or tried to save him. Jackals of the same tribe. All of you die. Morongyu snorted coldly. All of a sudden, These people also lost their ability to fly and fell to the ground. You dare to kill me? Do you know who we are? We are from the Heavenly Punishing Palace. Our master will definitely not let you go. These people roared and threatened Morongyu. Our master is our master. As long as we die, he will immediately know what happened here. At that time, he will kill you immediately. Our master is also a powerful punisher. Do you know what a punisher is? I don't care who you are, you're dead. The crowd roared, threatening Morongyu. However, Morongyu remained unmoved. When he heard that their master was a punisher, Morongyu's expression changed. My luck is really good. Killing a few trash can lead to a punisher. This trip to the East Sea was not in vain. Morongyu laughed loudly in his heart. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the man who spoke. Pa! A wave came crashing down, and those immortal emperors were all slapped to death. At the moment of their death, Morongyu clearly saw a mass of divine light erupting from their bodies. Then, they flew towards the immortal world. You killed them. My master must have known. Did you see those divine lights? My master will know everything. If you know what's good for you, quickly let me go. At that time, I will plead with my master. Perhaps he will only let you become my slave and not kill you. The immortal emperor who was caught by Morongyu laughed loudly. He was very arrogant. This made Morongyu speechless. Who is your master? Morongyu was also curious about the immortal emperor that this person spoke of. More than 10 disciples were immortal emperors? This person was really powerful. Who is my master? One of the ancestors of the Heavenly Punishing Palace, Immortal Emperor Tian. The immortal emperor laughed loudly and looked at Morongyu with disdain. It was as if at this time, it was not Morongyu who caught him, but he who caught Morongyu. Chapter 773. Tian, Immortal Venerable. Morongyu's body trembled slightly. Tian, Immortal Venerable, was one of the old ancestors of Heavenly Punishment Palace. His strength had long reached the late Immortal Venerable realm. He was one of the old ancestors who lived up to his name. Moreover, this Tian, Immortal Venerable, was the enforcer of Tian Cultivation World. At this moment, Morongyu was so excited that his body couldn't help but tremble slightly. Although his strength had reached 200 and 300 Dragon Force, there was still a long way to go before he reached the late Immortal Venerable realm. The gap between him and the quasi-god experts like Ji-Hao was just too big. Morongyu wasn't interested in anything else other than the appearance of a miracle. However, he must get the Zune-breaking pill. However, with his strength, it would be difficult for him to snatch the Supremacy Elixir. He was just worrying about how to increase his strength before reaching the divine site when Tian, Immortal Venerable, appeared. As long as Morongyu killed Tian, Immortal Venerable, and refined the origin of Tian Cultivation World, Morongyu's strength would increase by at least a few 100,000 Dragon Force. At this moment, his strength was comparable to an ordinary late Immortal Venerable. If his strength increased by a few 100,000 Dragon Force, an ordinary late Immortal Venerable wouldn't be his match. Kid, are you trembling now? Put me down, kneel down, and kowtow to me. Offer your soul and become my slave. Perhaps I will beg my master to let you go. The immortal emperor laughed heartily. He mistakenly thought that Morongyu's trembling body was due to fear. When will your master come here? Morongyu asked indifferently, as if he didn't see Immortal Sovereign. Master is nearby. He'll be here soon, Immortal Sovereign said with a cold smile. Asterisk Kong Long. Asterisk before Immortal Sovereign's voice faded, an incomparably vast chi came from the horizon, causing the void to tremble. Morongyu raised his head and looked over, only to see a streak of light tearing through the void at an extremely frightening speed in his direction. Who are you? How dare you kill my disciple? Before the person arrived, a voice that contained shocking killing intent was transmitted from afar. His voice contained a terrifying, murderous aura that caused the void to shatter continuously. In fact, even the raging waves of the East Sea were suppressed by it. One could imagine how terrifying this person's strength was. With a swoosh, A middle-aged man with a murderous aura and surging blood chi appeared 100 miles in front of Morongyu. His eyes flickered with a threatening cold light, as if they were tearing through the void, shooting at Morongyu. The newcomer was Cheong Tian, a late immortal venerable. "Master, save me. My brothers and sisters were all killed by this brat." The immortal emperor in Murongyu's grasp started to shout crazily. "Let go of my disciple and cripple your own cultivation, then I'll spare your life." Cheong Tian looked at Murongyu with killing intent. His voice was so cold that it seemed like the East Sea was going to freeze. "You are Cheong Tian, the enforcer of Cheong Tian's world of self-cultivators?" Murongyu sized up Cheong Tian, not showing any fear on his face. "You know me?" Cheong Tian's face turned gloomy. Murongyu knew his name, yet he still dared to be so calm. If he wasn't an idiot, then he must have something to rely on. Could it be that there's an expert secretly protecting this brat? Cheong Tian frowned as he looked at Murongyu. No matter how he looked at it, Murongyu was only a late immortal monarch. No matter how strong he was, there was a limit to his strength. However, his disciples were all at the immortal emperor realm. How did he manage to kill all of them? If he wasn't hiding his strength, then there must be someone secretly helping him. However, Cheong Tian would rather have someone secretly helping Murongyu, because he couldn't see any signs of Murongyu hiding his cultivation. Humph! No matter who it is, if they kill my disciples, even if they're gods, they will die. Cheong Tian's heart was filled with killing intent. He had spent countless resources and painstaking efforts to nurture a dozen or so immortal emperor experts. Now, almost all of them had died at Murongyu's hands. How could his anger and killing intent be extinguished so easily? It's hard not to know. Your disciples are all singing about your identity as the enforcer of self-cultivators. Murongyu suddenly laughed. He felt that the immortal emperor in his hand was a little idiotic. Even Cheong Tian's brain was not normal. Which enforcer would sing about his identity as the enforcer of self-cultivators? The enforcer of self-cultivators was the biggest trump card of a cultivator. At the crucial moment, they could be teleported back to the world of self-cultivators. Once the identity of the enforcer of self-cultivators was discovered, the void would be sealed and you would not be able to teleport. Cheong Tian's face darkened. He knew the temperament of his disciples. How about this? If you want your disciples back, you can exchange for the world of self-cultivators' origin energy. What? You want the world of self-cultivators' origin energy? Who are you? Cheong Tian frowned. He had never heard of anyone asking for the world of self-cultivators' origin energy. This was because without the recognition of the world of self-cultivators, they would not be able to refine it even if they gave it to them. Don't ask so many questions. You just need to answer if you're going to give it to me or not, Murongyu coldly said. Idiot! Cheong Tian, Celestial sneered. He took a step forward and crushed the void under his foot. At the same time, he extended his hand and made a grabbing motion in the air toward Murongyu. Attack! Murongyu frowned and sneered. Then he grabbed with his hand. With a loud bang, the immortal emperor in his hand was turned into a cloud of blood mist. At the same time, Murongyu took a step forward and caused the water of the East Sea to condense. Then, he threw out a punch. Elephant pulling fist. Boom! The power of the two sides collided fiercely, and in an instant, divine light burst into the sky. An incomparably terrifying impact erupted in all directions with the point of impact as the center. Asterisk Silala. Asterisk the void around them was torn apart like a piece of cloth. In fact, a large part of the East Sea beneath them had been evaporated, leading to the bottom of the sea, where one could not see the bottom. Murongyu's body shook violently, and he was sent flying. On the other hand, Cheong Tian only took a few steps back. Although every step he took shattered the void, it was clear that he was stronger than Murongyu, who was sent flying by his attack. What a powerful strength! Although Cheong Tian was stronger than Murongyu, he was still a little bit stronger. However, he was extremely shocked. Murongyu is only a late immortal venerable. How could he not be killed immediately and was only sent flying? One should know that he was a late immortal venerable. Although he had only used 30% of his strength, an ordinary mid-immortal venerable wouldn't be able to withstand his punch and would be killed instantly. Although Murong Yu's strength wasn't as strong as his, it was still comparable to an immortal venerable. This greatly shocked Xiong Tian. Compared to Xiong Tian's shock, Murong Yu seemed to be more relaxed, because he already knew that Xiong Tian was a late immortal venerable. After a round of bombardment, Murong Yu could faintly guess the extent of Xiong Tian's strength. He's just an ordinary late immortal venerable. 3 million dragon force. No more than 3,100,000 dragon force. Although he's just an ordinary late immortal venerable, it's still a little difficult for me to kill him. However, Xiong Tian must be killed. Murong Yu looked at Xiong Tian from afar. His excitement was indescribable. His strength would increase if he killed Xiong Tian. Murong Yu would never let Xiong Tian go. I haven't had a proper battle for a while. I've always relied on Sun Haoshan and the others. Now's a good time to test my strength. Murong Yu thought to himself. Suddenly, he let out a loud roar and stomped his foot, shattering the heavens as he charged toward the sky. You're overestimating yourself. Although Xiong Tian was shocked by Murong Yu's strength, his killing intent was even sharper than before. After all, if a late immortal venerable had such strength, what would happen if he broke through to the next realm? Would there be a place for him in the immortal world? Hong, Hong, Hong. The two of them instantly engaged in a fierce battle. Their chi and blood soared to the sky. Their strength erupted, tearing the sky and earth apart, causing the sun and moon to dim and the sea to flow backwards after a round of intense battle. Murong Yu didn't gain any advantage. Every time they clashed, he would be pushed back. However, it was impossible for Xiong Tian to kill Murong Yu. In fact, he couldn't even kill Murong Yu. Huh, awesome. Murong Yu laughed loudly. His battle intent soared to the sky as he increased his strength to fight against Xiong Tian. Although his chi and blood were churning from Xiong Tian's terrifying strength every time. The more it was so, the stronger his battle intent became. The more Xiong Tian fought, the more shocked he became. This kid's battle strength is extremely strong. His strength seems to be limitless. Now is the time for the miracle to appear. If I let this guy pester me for too long and miss the miracle, I'll lose more than I gain. I have to kill him in the shortest time possible, Xiong Tian thought in his heart. Suddenly, he roared. First of the 8 heavenly strikes, raging sea raging waves. Xiong Tian sent Murong Yu flying with a single punch. Then, he took a few steps forward and transformed into a streak of light as he charged forward. With a loud roar, he unleashed a peerless battle. Both of his hands stretched out and violently slapped towards Murong Yu. Suddenly, the entire void seemed to have turned into a boundless ocean. Waves covered the sky and earth, carrying with them a destructive aura as they rushed towards Murong Yu. Ultimate killing move. Murong Yu laughed coldly. He steadied himself in the void and shouted, "Raging sea, raging waves." As he took a step forward, a violent power rushed out from the soles of his feet. Large swathes of the void were shattered and shattered. Even the raging waves of the ocean seemed to have quieted down. They even shook violently, as if they were going to break apart. Xiong Tian was slightly shocked when he saw this. However, he didn't panic. He roared, "Raging sea, raging waves, dry sea and crumble rocks, destroy everything." An incomparably powerful energy crazily gushed out, rushing towards Murong Yu like a stormy sea, intending to tear him apart and grind him into dust. Chapter 774. Asterisk Hong Long Long. Asterisk an incomparably berserk energy blasted out. In an instant, the power from Murong Yu's stomp was easily shattered by the powerful energy from Xiong Tian. At the same time, Xiong Tian's force shattered the void, shrouding the heavens and earth, and rapidly moving towards Murongyu's body from all directions. Even though Murongyu's body had reached the level of an emperor armament, he would still be ground to dust if he were to be struck by the terrifying power. Murongyu's eyes shone brightly. There was no fear on his face. Instead, his face was filled with excitement. Spatial vibration. With a roar, Murongyu fiercely threw out a punch. Instantly, with his fist as the center, waves of vibrating energy burst out and swept out in all directions like raging waves. Wherever it passed, the void was shattered, and the force of Cheongtian's attack was also shattered. The second strike of the Heavenly Eight strikes, earth-shattering heavens. Cheongtian roared, striking out another deadly punch. The void cracked, the sun and the moon dimmed. It was incomparably violent. Heavy dragon lock, 1,000 whirlpools, and 10,000 claws. Dragon Shilin breaks the sun. Murongyu roared, striking out one ultimate strike after another, continuing his battle with Cheongtian. The third strike of the Heavenly Eight strikes, Fury of the Heavens. Fourth strike, Firmament Break. Cheongtian roared furiously. He had already unleashed his true fury and pushed his strength to the limit, forcing Murongyu to retreat. Murongyu's strength was very strong, comparable to an ordinary late immortal venerable. However, a late immortal venerable was still a late immortal venerable after all. Even though Murongyu was comparable to a late immortal venerable, he was still suppressed by Cheongtian. Especially when Cheongtian struck out the Heavenly Eight strikes, Murongyu's situation began to deteriorate. Every strike was stronger than the previous one. If the first strike of the Heavenly Eight strikes was rated as 1, then when he struck out the fourth strike, his strength had exceeded 4. His strength had multiplied. Murongyu was already at a disadvantage. Now, he was even less of a match for Cheongtian. Die. When Murongyu unleashed his fourth attack, Cheongtian took the opportunity to charge forward and ruthlessly punch Murongyu. Puff! Even though Murongyu's body had reached the level of an imperial weapon, half of his body was still shattered by the firmament. Die! Die! After destroying half of Murongyu's body with one punch, Cheongtian roared furiously. He continuously used his ultimate moves, wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to kill Murongyu. What a powerful force! However, you will die without a doubt. Murongyu roared, and a pair of illusory light wings suddenly appeared on his back, and then fiercely flapped. Boom! Murongyu turned into a stream of light and quickly retreated. The moment he retreated, Cheongtian's power slammed into the space where he had been. Terrifying power erupted, and immediately, the space within a few 100 million kilometers was shattered by Cheongtian's punch. Large swathes of space collapsed. After dodging Cheongtian's attack, the life force began to surge crazily. Then, Murongyu's body was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not long after, his body had recovered to its peak condition and was still as powerful as before. From the looks of it, I'm no match for Cheongtian with my own strength, let alone killing him. Murongyu took a few steps in the sky, shattering the space within 100 million miles with a single step. I can only use all kinds of magic treasures now. Murongyu would never let Cheongtian go. Although he was suppressed by Cheongtian, it did not mean that he did not have the ability to kill Cheongtian. That was because he still had many powerful magic treasures, including the Chinquin Bow and the heaven-shaking arrow that could kill immortal supremacies like dogs. However, the Chinquin Bow and the heaven-shaking arrow were too powerful. Murongyu did not plan to use them. After all, if Cheongtian's origin energy was destroyed, Murongyu would suffer a great loss. If that happened, Murongyu would not be able to control Cheongtian's world of cultivation. Swoosh! Murongyu made a grabbing motion in the air, and the end immortal sword appeared in his hand. Other than the Hichu Luoshu and the Chinquin Yang Cauldron, Murongyu's highest grade weapon was the exterminating immortal sword. Even a Phoenix Spear was only a monarch weapon. It was not powerful enough. Murongyu still had the exterminating immortal sword. Most importantly, The exterminating immortal sword had an instinctive suppression against immortals. Buzz. As soon as the exterminating immortal sword appeared in Murong Yu's hand, an invisible suppression spread out in all directions. Immediately, Cheong Tian's heart skipped a beat. He felt as if he was facing a superior. It was as if a powerful aura was suppressing him. He even felt as if he was undefeatable and could not fight back. An extremely dangerous aura. What a divine sword! Cheong Tian immediately knew that the aura that was suppressing him came from the exterminating immortal sword in Murong Yu's hand. Instantly, he looked at the exterminating immortal sword with a strong sense of greed in his eyes. Lad, this sword is not suitable for you. Give it to me obediently. I can spare your life. Cheong Tian sneered and stretched out his hand to grab the exterminating immortal sword. Murong Yu laughed coldly. It's not impossible for me to give it to you. Come and get it if you can. Sword River Snowstorm. Murong Yu roared. The exterminating immortal sword in his hand vibrated rapidly and slashed out. Suddenly, a snowstorm sword river appeared in the sky. It was like the Milky Way in the sky, crossing the sky. Billions of divine swords exploded with a terrifying sword essence. With a rumble, they tore the void apart and attacked Cheong Tian. Cheong Tian's face changed slightly. He then laughed coldly, weak. As he spoke, his hand that was grabbing the exterminating immortal sword shook violently. He attacked the sword river in the sky. The sword river went berserk. Billions of sword essences shot up to the sky and tore everything apart. Rumble. An earth-shattering sound exploded. Cheong Tian's body shook violently. The claw that he struck out was torn apart by the billions of sword essences in the sword river. Cheong Tian was shocked. He immediately retreated and smashed through billions of space-time. Good sword. What a powerful divine sword. This sword will be named Cheong from now on. Cheong Tian was shocked but also excited. The greed in his eyes became more intense. In that case, I will kill you first. Cheong Tian roared. With a single step, he crossed a distance of hundreds of millions of li, shattering space and time as he appeared in front of Murong Yu. His claw viciously swiped at Murong Yu's head. Heaven's 8 strikes, 5th strike, heaven split. As he struck out with his claw, a terrifying power exploded. In that instant, Murong Yu felt as if he could see Cheong Tian's attack, shattering the entire sky. It was filled with power and was extremely terrifying. An extremely strong aura shook the area. Murong Yu's face changed slightly. Immediately, he took a step forward and shattered a part of the void. He quickly retreated. In the process, he once again struck out with the sword River Snowstorm and Carp Leaping over Dragon Gate, the only 2 moves of the Heaven Mandate Sword Principle. Rumble. The power of Cheong Tian's attack was extremely terrifying. Even though Murong Yu tried his best to attack, under the attack of Heaven Split, the void was still shattered. On the other hand, Cheong Tian was like a shadow, constantly chasing after Murong Yu. A pair of claws even enveloped Murong Yu, wanting to claw him to death. Although Murong Yu was shocked, he was not afraid. Swoosh! Murong Yu struck out with his sword again. Then, he turned around, and his illusory light wings flapped rapidly. He flew into the distance. Escaped? Where do you think you're going? How could Cheong Tian let Murong Yu go? He was determined to get Murong Yu's exterminating celestial sword. Boom! However, Murong Yu had only flown a few 100 million miles when he suddenly came to a stop at his extreme speed. Cheong Tian, who was chasing with all his might, could not react in time. He crashed into Murong Yu directly. At this moment, Murong Yu's face revealed a creepy smile. You have been tricked. Yin-Yang Cauldron, Yin-Yang Fire, burn everything. Space imprisonment. Space barrier. Space shield. Space shook. Space was torn apart. When Murong Yu took out the Yin-Yang Cauldron, he used the power of the rules of space for the first time since the battle with Cheong Tian. Not only that, but Murong Yu also let out a roar and unleashed his ultimate move, Deity's Descent. Almost at the same time, Cheong Tian felt a strong sense of danger. He wanted to turn around and run. However, he suddenly realized that he had been imprisoned. Although the imprisonment power was not very strong, when he was at his peak, he could quickly break the imprisonment power. However, that required time. He roared and released a terrifying power. He was about to break free from the imprisonment of the space power. However, at this moment, he suddenly saw a golden deity appear above Murong Yu's head. At the same time, an invisible wave was released from the deity's body. Oh no, Cheong Tian roared in his heart. Then, he was shocked to realize that his mind had stopped moving. Everything stopped at this moment. Kaboom! The yin-yang cauldron had already brought the yin-yang fire down on him. Cheong Tian roared in his heart and struggled with all his might. Break! Break! Finally, as Cheong Tian roared, his mind returned to normal. Under the threat of his life, he erupted with great power and actually broke free from the restraints of spatial strength. Then, he shot off into the distance. The entire process only lasted for a few seconds. Kaboom! Just as Cheong Tian was about to escape, the yin-yang cauldron came down on him rapidly. Ah! Cheong Tian let out an earth-shattering scream. The yin-yang cauldron came down on Cheong Tian's body. The yin-yang fire that could burn everything exploded from the cauldron and burned everything. Chapter 775. Cheong Tian was extremely fast, but Murong Yu was not slow either. Most importantly, Cheong Tian was restrained by Murong Yu. Although he had broken through the restraints of the space, he could not escape in time. The yin-yang cauldron pressed down, and half of Cheong Tian's body was burned to ashes. The yin-yang fire that could burn everything was even burning the other half of Cheong Tian's body. It wanted to burn the entire Cheong Tian. I wonder if the origin energy can withstand the yin-yang fire? If not, then my efforts would have been in vain. Thinking up to this point, for safety's sake, Murong Yu made the yin-yang flames on Cheong Tian disappear. At the same time, Murong Yu rushed to Cheong Tian's back and punched him. With half of his body burned, Cheong Tian's strength was reduced to half. However, he was still weakened. On the other hand, Murong Yu was strong to begin with. As such, Cheong Tian's strength was inferior to Murong Yu. Ah! Cheong Tian let out another blood-curdling scream as the lower half of his body was turned into a bloody mist by Murong Yu's fist. You want to kill me? Impossible! Cheong Tian roared. The power in his body raged, and he wanted to kill Murong Yu. Even the lower half of his body that had been destroyed by Murong Yu was rapidly growing back. However, what shocked Cheong Tian was that the half of his body that had been burned by the yin-yang fire could not grow back. The yin-yang fire was too terrifying. When Mu Liyue's finger was burned, it could not be healed. Of course, Murong Yu was not strong enough at that time, and the yin-yang fire was weak. Now, the yin-yang fire could even burn a quasi-god. Hence, it was impossible for Cheong Tian to heal his body. At least, not in a short period of time. You still want to resist. Seeing that Cheong Tian was not giving up, Murong Yu punched him. Boom! 2 punches landed on Cheong Tian's body. Although it did not kill Cheong Tian directly, it still caused him to spit out blood. Although Cheong Tian was roaring furiously, the killing intent on his body was getting more and more violent. His hatred for Murong Yu was like a stormy sea, endless. Murong Yu laughed coldly. Just as he was about to end Cheong Tian with a punch, he suddenly stopped. Just now, Cheong Tian had really infuriated me. No matter what, Cheong Tian is a late immortal venerable with incomparable strength. Wouldn't it be a waste to kill him? Why don't we just control him? With a thought, Murong Yu sealed Cheong Tian's power with a slap and extracted his soul. Cheong Tian, whose power had been sealed, could not resist Murong Yu at all. He could only let out a cry as his soul was extracted by Murong Yu and refined, becoming Murong Yu's slave. After taking control of Cheong Tian, Murong Yu reached into Cheong Tian's Dantian and took out the origin of the Cheong Tian world of cultivation. Then, with a sway of his body, he brought Cheong Tian into the Hichu Luoshu world. Stay here and heal your injuries first. After Murong Yu healed Cheong Tian's injuries and allowed his shattered body to recover, he came out of the He-Tu and Luo Shu worlds once more. After refining the origin of the Cheong Tian world of cultivation, my strength will definitely increase by hundreds of thousands of Dragon Force. But now that a miracle has appeared, I can't miss this opportunity. Murong Yu floated in the air with a slight frown. Whatever. Let's find a place to place the transfer array. Then, I'll refine the firmament sky cultivation world's source energy and take complete control of it. Murong Yu thought to himself. With a sway of his body, he turned into a ray of light and flew forward. Now, that Murong Yu was deep in the East Sea. If he teleported to the Cheong Tian world of cultivation now, he would not be able to teleport to his current location. After all, if he wanted to teleport to the He-Tu Luo Shu, he would need a teleportation point, which was a teleportation formation. It was the teleportation formation sealed in the Jade Scroll. Only by sensing the teleportation formation could he teleport. Murong Yu was very powerful, and the Jade Scroll he created was very powerful. But under his feet was the East Sea with raging waves. Even an immortal emperor would be slapped to death by a single wave. Even if Murong Yu's teleportation Jade Scroll could not be destroyed by the waves, who knew where the teleportation formation would be carried by the waves? Therefore, Murong Yu had to find an island to place the teleportation formation. Rumble. While Murong Yu was flying, the raging waves below him suddenly exploded. Then, an extremely powerful aura was released, pressing towards Murong Yu. From the sea below, a huge black shadow shot up to the sky, pouncing towards Murong Yu. Sea snake? Murong Yu looked down and saw that the monster pouncing towards him was a sea snake the size of a mountain. The sea snake was very powerful. The aura it emitted was comparable to an immortal venerable. It was an immortal venerable sea snake. As expected, there are dangers everywhere outside the immortal world. Any random monster is at the immortal venerable realm. Murong Yu sighed in his heart, but he was not afraid at all. However, the sea below is so terrifying. It's really shocking that these sea beasts can live in the sea. I like to see how tough your muscles and bones are. While Murong Yu was pondering, the sea snake had already rushed to the front of Murong Yu. The incomparably huge serpent's tongue crossed the distance of a few miles and coiled towards Murong Yu. An extremely fishy smell assailed his nose, making him feel nauseous. Ordinary late-stage, immortal emperors would probably faint from this fishy smell. Murong Yu frowned slightly and pointed his finger. Asterisk chi. Asterisk, a ray of divine light shot out from Murong Yu's fingertip and bombarded the serpent's tongue. A terrifying force erupted, shattering the serpent's tongue into fine powder. Asterisk chi. Asterisk, the serpent's tongue was shattered into fine powder. The immortal venerable sea snake let out an angry shriek. It made one's hair stand on end and goosebumps all over. Murong Yu's expression did not change. He pointed his finger again. His finger expanded rapidly, crossing billions of space-time and directly touching the hard scales of the sea snake. Asterisk bang. Asterisk, after a loud bang, the sea snake was directly sent flying. In the end, it smashed into the sea in the distance with a loud bang, causing the seawater to soar into the sky. However, after the sea snake rolled a few times on the surface of the sea, it quickly pounced towards Murong Yu. Along the way, its aura was gloomy, murderous, and filled with hatred. Its pair of eyes were staring at Murong Yu with incomparable resentment. Even though Murong Yu was strong, he still felt a chill down his spine. The feeling of being stared at by a poisonous serpent. What a strong body, comparable to an emperor weapon. Murong Yu sighed in his heart. Die. Looking at the incoming sea snake, Murong Yu coldly snorted and sent out a palm strike. He just wanted to see the strength of the sea snake's body. Now, he already knew the answer. However, this sea snake was courting death. Asterisk bang. Asterisk, the big hand slapped down. Before it even touched the sea snake, the powerful force had already shattered the sea snake into a cloud of blood mist. This is still the East Sea. I wonder if there are more powerful sea beasts in the depths of the East Sea, quasi-god, or even godlike sea beasts. Moroniu suddenly thought. He suddenly felt uneasy about this trip to the divine site. Would there be danger this time? Would there be more powerful existences? Moroniu instantly grasped the trace of uneasiness in the depths of his heart. His heart was filled with awe. Forget it. This time, I'll try my best to seize as many treasures as possible. Safety first. It's best to improve my strength as much as possible before reaching the divine site. It's best if I can break through to the immortal Emperor realm, or if my dragon power breaks through 3 million. Moroniu thought in his heart and quickly flew forward. Not long after, Moroniu appeared on a small island. Although the island was small, it was enough to place a teleportation jade slip. After placing the teleportation jade slip, Moroniu's body flashed and disappeared. However, the moment he disappeared, on the surface of the sea near the small island, a huge dark green snake head with long horns on its head lifted up. Its eyes were sinister and sinister. Monstrous hatred shot up into the sky, wreaking havoc in the surrounding void. The small island was bombarded with a rumbling sound. After entering the Hichu, Luoshu world, Moroniu immediately refined the origin source in Cheong Tian's body. The origin source would not reject Moroniu's refinement, because they knew this was the general trend. Moreover, they also wanted to know what would happen if Moroniu gathered the origin source in the Yanhuang Immortal Realm's 36 cultivation realms. Increased by 100,000 dragon power, after Moroniu refined the origin source in Cheong Tian's cultivation realm, his strength increased by 100,000 to 4 million dragon power. Moroniu wasn't complaining that the increase in strength was too little, nor was it too much. He was just curious. It seemed that after his strength increased to several 100,000 dragon power, every time he refined the origin source in the enforcers, he would gain 100,000 dragon power. It did not seem to have changed. What's the reason? Moroniu was shocked. His increase in strength was not because of the origin source, but because he had comprehended the chaotic celestial records and made a small breakthrough. Forget it. If I don't understand, I won't think about it. I'll understand one day. Now I'll go and control Cheong Tian's cultivation realm. Moroniu's heart skipped a beat, and he directly teleported to the origin source in Cheong Tian's cultivation realm. After I control Cheong Tian's cultivation realm, it would be best if my strength could increase to 3 million dragon power. However, that's just wishful thinking. Moroniu laughed and sat down cross-legged, beginning to refine Cheong Tian's cultivation realm. Chapter 776. 2,700,000 dragon power? Although it's not 3 million dragon power, it's very close. Moroniu, who had been sitting cross-legged in the origin space of Cheong Tian cultivation world, suddenly stood up. His aura surged. It was obvious that his strength had increased again. Moroniu clenched his fists and felt the powerful energy. Moroniu smiled confidently. If I were to fight against Cheong Tian now, I wouldn't have to waste so much effort. I could kill him easily. But Moroniu looked regretful. It's a pity that I haven't broken through to the advanced immortal realm. I think I haven't reached my limit yet. I have a feeling that if my dragon power reaches 3 million, I should be able to break through to the immortal emperor realm. It would be great if I could meet other enforcers. As he thought about it, Moroniu suddenly shook his head. He felt that his thoughts were too idealistic. The immortal realm was so big and the enforcers were so well hidden. How difficult would it be to find one? Of course, if an enforcer appeared near Moroniu would be able to sense it. However, as mentioned earlier, the immortal realm was so vast. What were the chances of an enforcer appearing near Moroniu? Let's go back to the immortal realm and snatch the treasures from the divine ruins. Moroniu was more confident in himself now that he had become stronger. With a flash, Moroniu disappeared from the origin space of the firmament world of cultivation. Using the teleportation ability of the He-2 and the Book of the Luo, he immediately appeared on a small island in the East Sea of the immortal world. Boom! Murong Yu stepped out of the Hichu Luoshu world. However, before Murong Yu could even step onto the ground, an extremely frightening pressure descended from the sky. It locked onto Murong Yu and ferociously suppressed him. What's going on? As soon as he returned to the immortal realm, he was attacked before he even made his appearance. This caused the fury in Murong Yu's heart to rise. In an instant, he raised his strength to the limit. 2,700,000 dragons of power gathered on his fist, and he punched out fiercely. Boom! The two forces collided above Murong Yu's head, and an earth-shattering explosion occurred. The void within a radius of 10 billion miles, including the ground below, and the entire island were crushed into dust. Murong Yu's expression changed. The force that he had punched out would have been crushed in an instant. However, the power that came crashing down only paused for a moment. 30% of it was scattered, and the rest continued to bombard Murong Yu. With a cracking sound, Murong Yu's entire arm was turned into fine powder by the frightening power. However, that powerful force was still rapidly and violently crashing down. Asterisk puff. Asterisk Murong Yu suffered a heavy blow. He felt as if he had been hit by hundreds of thousands of immemorial divine mountains hundreds of millions of times. Murong Yu couldn't help but spurt out a mouthful of blood. At the same time, he was sent flying like a kite with a broken string. What's going on? Murong Yu's face was filled with shock. His strength was extremely powerful. He could even kill an ordinary late immortal venerable. Even an expert like Sun Haoshan wouldn't be able to injure him so severely. So, the person who attacked him this time was even stronger than Sun Haoshan? However, why was this person nearby? Wait for Murong Yu to attack as soon as he made his move? It was as if he had an irreconcilable enmity with Murong Yu. What puzzled Murong Yu the most was that no one knew he would appear here. Was he the only one who appeared on the island? But now, he was actually ambushed. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk, just as Murong Yu was sent flying, an enormous illusory figure carrying an intense aura of danger tore through the sky from afar. The illusory figure ruthlessly whipped towards Murong Yu, wanting to kill him on the spot. Murong Yu's expression changed drastically. He roared in his heart. Are you done yet? Do you think I'm easy to bully? Murong Yu was enraged. He gathered all of his 2,700,000 dragon power into his other fist. With a furious roar, he threw a punch at the rapidly approaching phantom. All directions kill. Murong Yu had actually unleashed his strongest ultimate move. With a punch, the power of 2,700,000 earth dragons erupted. In an instant, the surrounding void was shattered by the terrifying power. In the sky, there were huge fists that contained a terrifying aura that could destroy the world. They shattered the void and destroyed everything as they ruthlessly attacked the phantom that was coming at them. The reason why Murong Yu unleashed his strongest ultimate move was because he felt an extremely strong sense of danger from the phantom. He even felt the aura of death. Murong Yu knew very well that he was no match for the person who ambushed him. The phantom was extremely fast. Countless space-time was destroyed by the phantom. It quickly rushed to Murong Yu's front. It was only then that Murong Yu was able to clearly see what the phantom was. It was actually a huge tail. To be precise, it should be a huge tail the size of a divine mountain. It was billions of miles long and covered in green scales. The tail was extremely long. It seemed to have lashed over from billions of miles away. Everywhere it passed, space-time was shattered and annihilated. The power was extremely shocking, simply shocking the myriad of worlds in the universe. What a huge long tail. What terrifying power. What a huge green snake. Murong Yu looked at the huge tail and finally saw who was attacking him. To be precise, it was not a person who attacked him, but a green snake. This green snake was extremely huge. It sat cross-legged on the surface of the sea. It was like an immemorial divine mountain that descended from the sky. It was ferocious and brutal. Waves of sinister aura were emitted. It shook the heavens and the earth. Muronyu was a little shocked when he saw it. Moreover, Muronyu also noticed that this giant snake was different. On its triangular green head, there were two fist-sized horns. That's right. The two horns on the mountain-sized snake head were only the size of fist. It was very strange. If it were not for Murongyu's amazing eyesight, he would not have been able to see the two slightly protruding horns. What a shocking gaze! When Muronyu came into contact with the giant snake's eyes, he could not help but feel a chill in his heart. What did it mean by the gaze of a venomous snake? What did it mean by being targeted by a venomous snake? That was what Muronyu was feeling at the moment. Being stared at by the giant snake's venomous and sinister eyes, Muronyu's back was covered in cold sweat. He was terrified. Why is this thing attacking me for no reason? Could it be that the island is its nest? Muronyu was very puzzled. He frowned and thought, no, if that's the case, why is this giant snake staring at me with such venomous eyes? It's as if it has an irreconcilable hatred for killing its father. I killed a sea snake earlier. Could it be that this giant snake is here for revenge? Yes, that must be it. However, isn't this giant snake's strength a little too terrifying? Muronyu was incomparably shocked as he thought to himself. All of this had happened in an instant. It seemed like a long time, but in fact, only a moment had passed. Boom! The giant tail seemed to be able to shatter the sky. It finally bombarded over and collided with Muronyu's power. After an earth-shattering explosion, Muronyu's strongest ultimate move that he had used all his strength to blast out was completely vulnerable like tofu. It was shattered at the moment of contact. However, the giant snake's tail only paused for a moment. Then, it continued to bombard Muronyu. *T, I'm no match for it all. I can't even withstand a single blow. Muronyu felt helpless. He roared, and the illusory light wings appeared behind him. Then, he flapped them fiercely. With a swoosh, he suddenly disappeared on the spot and flew toward the distance. However, the giant snake's tail tore through the void and chased after him closely like a shadow attached to the body. Moreover, the distance between it and Muronyu was getting smaller and smaller. It was closing in quickly. In fact, Muronyu could already feel the terrifying killing intent contained in the snake's tail. He knew that if he was hit by the snake's tail, even if his body was strong, he would be smashed to pieces. This giant snake is definitely a quasi-god. At least 5 million Earth Dragon power. Muronyu was extremely shocked. He had only felt such a terrifying pressure from GMO before. Quasi-god. There was at least a difference of more than 2 million Earth Dragon power between the two. Even if Murongyu's strength was shocking, he was no match for a quasi-god. Space imprisonment, space shield, space barrier. In an instant, Muronyu used the Zai word. The rules of space were used to the extreme. He blasted out all the binding moves in an attempt to block the giant snake's pursuit. However, to Murongyu's disappointment, his attacks were of no use at all. The giant snake's tail bombarded and all the power was shattered. In fact, Muronyu did not want to be able to block the giant snake's pursuit. He only needed to block the other party for a while. Now, he could not even enter the Hichu Luo Shu. I can only tear the void. However, the giant snake is too strong. Even if I tear the void and escape far away, I'm afraid it will follow closely. What I'm most afraid of is that the other party will directly shatter the void passage and force me into the space turbulence. If that happens, I'll definitely die. Muronyu thought to himself as he fled quickly. However, he could not find a feasible way no matter how hard he tried. I just need to use the Chinkoan bow and the heaven-shaking arrow. Muronyu secretly gritted his teeth. He did not want to use the Chinkoan bow and the heaven-shaking arrow because he was not confident that he could kill the giant snake. However, the giant snake is about to catch up. Muronyu's face was gloomy. In an instant, Muronyu and Ji Yunshu, one running and one chasing, had already gone deep into the EC for hundreds of millions of miles. At this time, the giant snake finally caught up. Boom! The giant snake's tail exploded with killing intent. It shook violently and shattered a large part of the void. It was about to whip Morong Yu's back. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.